Naruto God Level System, Chapter 1061-1080. Chapter equals 1061. Uchizi, you are very wrong. Sonoko, the class will be in a while. Can you let go of me now? It's indecent for you to hold me like this. Chen looked at the child who was holding his arm and didn't let go. Taking advantage of yourself, I said. Yuanzi, are you holding me on purpose to take advantage of me? I didn't expect Yuanzi to be such a person, you are such a small machine. Chen looked at Yuanzi and said involuntarily. Sonoko wants leaf blood. At this time, I was embarrassed to continue holding Chen's arm. Why do I take advantage of you? Isn't the one taking advantage of you? Sonoko looked at Chen angrily and asked. Also, don't you give me an explanation. Do you think I'm ugly? Sonoko stared at Chen. Chen Yugong looked at Yuanzi. To be honest, Yuanzi is very beautiful now. After the proposal of Liu Batu, last time, Yuanzi no longer wears that ugly headband. So now Yuanzi has transformed into a too beautiful, quite dazzling beauty, no worse than Shaolin and the others. Actually, I think Sonoko, you are very beautiful, can you do it now? Can you sit back? Chen asked Sonoko. HMPH, I always feel that you have a meaning of sublimation. Sonoko said with a light snort. Where is the perfunctory? Chen did not admit that he was perfunctory at all. In fact, there was some perfunctory in his heart. After all, Yuanzi is beautiful, but Chen has seen more beauties, which is simply too many to count. Chen, are you interested in catching that murderer? Sonoko didn't pursue it anymore. Instead, he asked Chen. What did you say, Sonoko? I said Chen, are you interested in catching the murderer? Now the whole rice flour market is panicking. Please, I'm not a detective, I'm not a police officer. Said with a wave of his hand. That's right, Sonoko. You'd better have your bodyguard come to pick you up recently. After all, Sonoko really doesn't have much fighting power. If he really reveals the murderer, it will be really dangerous. Understood. I will, my mother told me. Sonoko nodded. But Chen, are you caring about me? Sonoko's heart suddenly became sweet and she looked at Chen happily and asked. Yeah, I care about you, but I care about you very much. Chen said, pinching Yuanzi's little face. Speak when you speak. Don't do anything. Yuhiko raised his hand and slapped Chen's hand. The reader was about to glance at Yuhizi, but Yuhiko had already turned his head at this time. Net Shanghai and GT, after the name of the year of the sea, I also went to class. So Sonoko also returned to his seat and stopped talking to Chen He. Is that the whole guy not here? Chen Qiguang glanced at Hattori's flat drive position, but it's not strange to think about each other. I guess this guy is going to investigate the case. Who didn't come? Chen, although his voice was relatively small, Izumi Yuhiko, who was sitting next to Chen, could still hear him. So he asked Chen Qi. You look where I am, don't you know who I am talking about? Chen asked. Little Izumi Yuhiko said. It turned out to be Hattori Heiji. Followed Chen's gaze. Little Izumi Yuhiko saw Hattori's vacant seat, obviously already in class. But Hattori Heiji hasn't come yet, obviously not coming. But Hattori Heiji has nothing to do with her. Little Izumi Yuhiko just glanced at it, and then stopped paying attention. For Chen, it was just messing around, and life at school was pretty good. But this is under the circumstance that Chen is not bored yet. If he is really bored, Chen is really not interested in coming. Today is Friday, and tomorrow is a holiday. It's time to rest, so when school is over, some students are very happy. Kai, Shaolin and Yi Gao Kai together, even if they really encounter any gangsters, they are not afraid. The combat effectiveness of the two women is the best in the army. Well, this is an exaggeration, but Xiaolan and Heyi are really strong in combat. The two of them add up. Unless it's at the level of Sejiu, it's not the opponent. Chen and Yuhizi went to Fudiden Primary School to pick up Xiaoai. Originally, it was Xiaoai who went home by himself, or Ming Meifu picked up Xiaoai. But since Chen agreed to pick up Xiaoai, Xiaoai has been waiting for him to pick him up at the entrance of the primary school. Xiaoai has been waiting for a long time. Chen waved at Xiaoai and said, "Let's go." Xiao Ai was expressionless, and said lightly, looking at Xiao Ai's indifferent look. Chen is used to it now. She walked over and held Xiao Ai's hand. Xiao Ai looked at Chen and didn't struggle. She is also used to it now. Rang Chen grabbed her hand. I feel like both of you have forgotten me. And every time it happens I'm going to be pissed. Yuhiko caught up and said. That's because you were redundant. Xiao Ai glanced at Yuhizi and said. Yuhizi bit Kiba. Forget it. Now Xiao Ai looks like a primary school student and doesn't have the same knowledge as her. What is the same knowledge as a child? Go home soon. Just came back. Yukiko came over and handed a glass of water with a smile on her face. You, retired, drink a glass of water. Looking at the water that Yuchizi handed over, and then looking at Yuchizi's face full of smiles, Chen suddenly didn't dare to drink it. Something was wrong, it was really wrong. Looking at Yuchizi's current appearance, Chen was full of doubts in his heart. Is there something added? Yuchizi, you are very wrong. Nothing to be diligent is either a traitor or a thief. The current Yuchizi is very suspicious in Chen's eyes. Either something is added to the water, or there is something wrong, but the possibility of adding something to the water is not very likely. Chen suspects that Yuchizi has something to do now. Ask him. Chen's suspicion is not wrong. Yuchizi does have something to do. Chen, tomorrow is Saturday on 2.4, can you accompany me to go shopping? Yuchizi said to Chen. It's finally Saturday. I'm taking a break. I don't have time to go shopping with you, so I'm sorry. Chen shook his head without hesitation. I knew you would refuse. Yuchizi said angrily. Yuchizi knew that Chen was particularly repulsive to go out for shopping, but it was not that there was no way for Yuchizi to get Chen to agree. Since she has already spoken, how can you let Chen refuse? There are still people watching, but you can't let them see the joke, so you have to succeed no matter what. Yukiko leaned over to Chen's side, lowered her voice, and whispered something to Chen. Anyway, Belmont and the others who were not far away couldn't hear it. Okay. If so, I promise you. After Yuzi finished speaking, Chen suddenly changed his tune and agreed. Chapter 1062. Xiao Ai, do you want me to buy you children's clothes? Why did you suddenly agree? What benefits did Yuchizi promise you? Belmont asked Chen. What promises, what benefits? No. Chen shook his head and said. Hee, do you think I'll believe it? Belmont chuckled. Chen knew exactly what this hee meant. If it wasn't for the benefits that Yukiko promised, would you agree to accompany her to go shopping with your character? Belmont asked Chen. Indeed, if it wasn't for what Yuchizi promised, Yuchen's character would definitely not allow Yuchizi to go shopping. But Belmont doesn't know. What exactly did Yuchizi promise? And Chen agreed to it. Bermad, are you curious too? Can't I be curious? Bermad couldn't help but rolled a glance at Yukiko. Then said, this is not true, but you are so curious about what to do, and if you are really curious, then go to the inquiry room _Yukiko. Belmont Kieguang glanced at Yukiko, who was not far away, then turned his head away, wanting to ask Yukiko. But Yukiko has to tell her too. With the character of Kiko, certainly will not tell her easily. Forget it, I won't ask, I will be with you tomorrow. Belmont said to Chen. What, you want to go too? Chen looked at Belmont with a surprised expression. Why, can't I go? Chen, do you dislike me? Belmont hugged Chen's arm. Looking at Chen said, how is it possible? If you want to go, then I will naturally welcome it. Chen said to Belmont. It would be great if Belmont could go there. It would be more lively with one more person, but seeing that Belmont would go shopping, Chen felt a little incredible. Xiao Ai, do you want to go with us? Chen asked Xiao Ai. Xiao Ai was sitting not far away, and she should have heard Chen and the others talking. No, I still have things to do. Xiao Ai shook her head. What Xiao Ai said should be her research. Don't you plan to relax, Xiao Ai? Chen asked towards Xiao Ai. They've been relaxing for so long, I don't want to relax anymore and I'm not interested in shopping. Xiao Ai said. This is the most important thing. Xiao Ai has no interest in shopping. So I don't want to go, just like Chen. It's fine if the little girl doesn't go. Belmont glanced at Xiao Ai and said. I suddenly changed my mind. I'll go tomorrow too. Xiao Ai glanced at Belmod and said tit for tat. A glanced at Neuer Yinged, then at Xiao Ai. Chen shrugged. The two of them, it seems that there has never been harmony, even now. Early the next morning, Chen left home with Yukiko, Belmod and Xiao Ai. Wait, do you want to come back for dinner today? Mingmei shouted loudly to Chen and the others. You shouldn't be back at noon, Mingmei, don't prepare our meal. Yukiko replied to Mingmei. Do you still want to go shopping for a day? Chen couldn't help looking at Yuchizi and asked. Yes, I paid such a huge price. Of course I have to earn it back. Yuchizi glanced at Chen proudly and said, so what did you give, Yukiko? See your mod, asked Yukiko. Want to know? Yukiko blinked and looked at Belmod. I don't want to. Belmod turned his head indifferently, which made Yukiko stunned for a moment. Belmod, who knew about Yukiko, saw what Yukiko looked like. I knew that Yukiko would definitely not say L, so she said no. If you don't want that, forget it, I won't say it anyway. Then Yushizi led the way. Chen and the others came to the commercial street. To be honest, if it wasn't for Yushizi to lead the way, Chen wouldn't even know where the commercial street was. So what do you want to buy, Yuchizi? Chen asked Yuchizi. Nothing to buy. Yuchizi shook her head and replied to Chen. And Chen's expression instantly froze. If you don't have anything to buy, what are you going to go shopping for? If you don't buy anything, what are you doing out shopping? Xiao Ai asked for Chen. Whoever says to go to the street must buy something. I'm bored at home, just go out for a stroll. If you find something you're interested in, buy it, and if you're not interested, just go for a while. Chen said he was speechless. There is some truth to what Yukiko said. That is to say, we came out to accompany her wandering around. Xiao Ai had a dull expression on her face. If I had known it earlier, it wouldn't have come. In fact, if she hadn't seen her mod, she would be studying medicines at home now. It feels like researching drugs is more interesting than this. But that's just what Xiao Ai thinks. If it is to do research and go shopping, put it in front of Chen. Chen will definitely choose to go shopping without hesitation. After all, what Xiao Ai studied, Chen also couldn't understand at all. Let's go to the clothing hall to take a look at Yukiko. Seeing that there is a huge clothing hall in front of her, her eyes light up slightly. Then she pulls Chen and walks over with the light. I don't want to go. Chen couldn't help saying, if shopping is just a nightmare, then entering the clothing hall is a nightmare come true. Anyway, Chen doesn't want to go. No, don't forget that you promised me to go shopping with 360. Yuchizi took Chen into the clothing hall. Xiao Ai, do you want me to buy you children's clothing 3 inches? Belmod lowered his head and asked Xiao Ai, smiled and asked. Buy it and wear it yourself. Xiao Ai glanced at Belmod lightly. Then she walked ahead and followed Chen. After entering it, Chen looked at the people inside and couldn't help but be speechless. So famous, it's because today is a day off. The reason, there are too many people, let's go. Chen said to Yuchizi, don't go. To prevent Chen from running away, Yukiko reached out and grabbed Chen. Yukiko, it's really you. What are you doing? I didn't expect to meet you here, we sisters are really fate. Yukiko ran over and said to Fei Yingri. What are you doing with Chenla just now? Fei Yingli glanced at Yukiko, and then asked Yukiko. Eri, don't ask too much. Why do you come here to go shopping? With your character, shouldn't you be working now? Yukiko couldn't help asking. It was Shaolin who brought me here. Fei Yingli pointed to Shaolin who was picking clothes not far away. If it wasn't for Shaolin, Fei Yingli would not come. Chapter 1063. Like to pretend to be tender. Chen, you guys are here too. After Shaolin finished choosing her clothes, when she came to see Fei Yingli, she obviously saw Chen and the others, and couldn't help but said, yeah, it was Yuchizi who wanted to go out for a walk. Shopping, I didn't expect to meet you by coincidence. Chen said with a smile. Isn't it bad to meet us? He couldn't help saying. I didn't say bad, I'm very happy to meet you. Chen put his hand on Hee's head and rubbed it vigorously. Hee's hair was messed up. Looking at Chen, Hee knew that this was revenge against her. He couldn't help snorting towards Chen. His face expose on top equals wipe Yuhi color. Still. It was the first time that a boy rubbed his head. This feeling caused a strange feeling in Hee's heart. That's right. Hee, why are you following Xiaolan? Won't you disturb Xiaolan and her mother? Chen said to Hee. Don't bother, you and Yi's eye. We had more fun. Xiaolan smiled and said, did you hear what Xiaolan said? Hee Shangchen snorted softly, and then said, I heard it, but I feel like you're still in the way. Chen whispered, his voice very low. Hee couldn't hear it at all. Well, Hee did not hear it, but Hee saw Chen whispering, so Hee now suspects that Chen is just whispering bad things about her. Are you talking ill of me? Hee asked to Shang Chencho. No, absolutely not. Chen simply shook his head neatly. Since we met, how about we go shopping together? Xiaolan suggested. I don't have any opinion. Chen didn't have any opinion, and it would be nice to talk to a few more people. That's right. I'm going to sit over there for a while. If you want to buy something, go and buy it. After that, Chen walked over to the chair next to him, and Xiaoai thought about it. Then he followed Chen. I'm not interested in clothes or anything, and Xiaoai is also not interested in anything. So she sat on the chair with Chen. Hey, I asked you to come out so that you can give me some advice, why are you sitting there now? No, come here quickly, Tilda. Yuchizi walked over angrily. She shouted to Chen, she should accompany you to buy clothes. I think it is better for women to ask women for advice when buying clothes. Chen rejected Yuchizi without hesitation. Suggest to mention, come here quickly, okay. Otherwise, I might as well come alone. Besides, women don't wear clothes just for men to see. Yuchizi came directly to Locken. Oh Soshin, I think I should buy some clothes for Xiaoai. Lord, Bermude, Qiguang glanced at Xiaoai and said. Xiaoai glanced at Bermuda when he heard the words, and then said, I number need. That's not possible, Xiaoai, you finally came out equals times. How could you treat you badly? Yuchizi said directly, and said that Yuchizi directly pulled Xiaoai, and Yu Chen walked over there together. And Belmorda looked at Chen and Xiaoai who were depressed, but smiled slightly. Not far away, Fei Yingli looked at Yuchizi and Chen strangely, and the relationship between them. There was really something wrong. Fei Yingli had it before. 1. I have some doubts, but I can't be sure. Now Fei Yingli feels that her suspicions should not be wrong. Why do you feel that the relationship between Aunt Kiko and Chen is so close? Xiao Lan said involuntarily. This made Xiaoer feel a little bit more. It's weird, I don't know what to say. Xiao Lan, don't let her hear that you called her Aunt Yuchizi, otherwise. With Yuchizi's character, I will definitely not let you go like this. Fei Yingli turned to her daughter Xiaolan said. Fei Yingli knows her friend Yukiko very well and likes to pretend to be tender. Of course, this cannot let Yukiko know that she thinks so, otherwise, Yukiko will come to her desperately. But Yukiko looks like she is really very young, and even when she is standing with her daughter Elle, she feels like a sister. To be honest, Fei Yingli is a little jealous of Yukiko, but Fei Yingli doesn't know that she is actually the same. It seems, she is very young. Because of her mature temperament, she stands with Xiaolan. It is like a big sister. She will never be considered as Xiaolan's mother. It's just that Fei Yingli can't feel it herself in normal times. At this time, Yuchizi has already pulled Chen and Xiaoai over. I saw you talking just now. What are you talking about? Yuchizi asked Fei Yingli curiously. Her curiosity was very heavy. Xiaolan just said you were young. Fei Yingli glanced at Yukiko, and then said. Ha ha ha, is that true? Yukiko laughed when she heard the words. Oh yes, you are standing with Chen now. Together. It's almost like a couple. Fei Yingli glanced at Yuchizi and Chen, and then said. In fact, Fei Yingli said this on purpose. I want to see if Yuchizi's face will change, and then speculate about Chen and there is a relationship between Yukiko. Fei Yingli has a strong ability to observe words and emotions. After all, Fei Yingli is a famous queen in the legal world. Without this ability, how could she remain unbeaten? However, what disappointed Fei Yingli was that Yukiko's face was just hanging on it. Smile. Didn't show anything else. At this time, concubine Yingri realized that Yukiko used to be a big star, as a big star that swept the world. Acting is definitely online. It doesn't exist. Fei Yingri, you praise me, do you want me to pay for today's consumption? But I'm happy today, I'll help you pay for it. Money, once big, okay, celebrity, the money she earns is enough for her life. I'm not short of that money. Fei Yingli gave Yukiko a blank look, and then said, Yuchizi is not short of money, and Fei Yingli is not short of money, after all, as a lawyer. The money that can be earned is naturally not a few, especially Fei Yingli, who has always won. I don't know how many people have paid a lot of money to ask Fei Yingli to file a lawsuit. Since you're not short of money, then forget it. Yuchizi waved his hand. That can't be the case. Since you have already opened your mouth, if you don't take advantage of you, wouldn't it be a good opportunity to let go? Fei Yingli would not let this opportunity to take advantage of it. How do you take advantage of Kiko? How can I miss this opportunity? If you say something like this, I feel a little uncomfortable for some reason. Yukiko heard it as an advantage, and immediately felt uncomfortable. Chapter 1064. Are you also interested in Chen? Yukiko, I think the relationship between you and Chen is too good, you don't have any scruples. There are only two of them here, Chen and they are not here now. Chen was pulled by Shaolin to buy clothes for Xiaoai. Belmod found it interesting, so I followed the past, so now concubine Eri and Yukiko are left. It was only the two of them that I saw. Fei Yingli asked Yuchizi in a low voice, if Chen was here. Fei Yingli was really embarrassed to ask any questions. Do I need to have any scruples? Yukiko asked Fei Yingri. Don't you need it? Fei Yingli protested. Yukiko looked at Fei Yingri. Yukiko thought she knew very well about her former good sister. She was very smart, and two things could definitely be seen. What did you see? Yukiko asked Fei Yingri. Anyway, I'm not afraid that Fei Yingli knows what Yukiko has no worries about Fei Yingli. Fei Yingli's eyes widened. Before, everything was just her guess. Although there was such a guess a long time ago, Fei Yingli had no real confirmation. But now Fei Yingli is really confirmed. It seems that the guess is true, which makes Fei Yingli's heart very complicated. 103 inches. Why don't you talk 9 inches? Yukiko asked Fei Yingri. What did you ask me to say? Fei Yingri turned a Byakugan to Yukiko, and then asked, when did you start? Does Yusaka Kudo know? It's been a long time. As for Yusaka Kudo, it has nothing to do with him. Yuchizi pouted and said. Concubine Yingri suddenly looked at Yukiko speechlessly. You have already cuckolded him. He even said that it doesn't matter. Immediately, concubine Eri felt that Kudo Yusaka was a little pitiful. Eri, in fact, I have nothing to do with Kudo Yusaka. Yukiko said to concubine Eri, not a real wife. After that, Yukiko and Fei Yingri said that equals next. Fei Yingli stared at Yukiko and sister Yukiko for so many years, and now Fei Yingri really knows the truth. However, the age difference between you and Chen is not small, how could it be? Before Fei Yingri could finish her words, she saw Yukiko's incomparably dark face. Suddenly speechless. What do you mean, Yingri? Do you think I'm getting old? Yukiko looked at the concubine Yingri angrily and asked. Seeing the angry Yukiko, Fei Yingri had an embarrassed face, and immediately said to Yukiko, no, I didn't mean that. That's about the same. Yuchizi snorted softly, and then Yuchizi gave Fei Yingli a wink. Fei Yingli looked at Yuchizi in a daze, not understanding what Yuchizi meant. Don't think I didn't see it. Yingri, are you also interested in Chen? Yukiko blinked and stared at Fei Yingri. You're talking nonsense. Something. I don't know what you're talking about. Fei Yingli retorted excitedly when she heard the words. Then she turned around. I just asked, but you are so excited, it seems to be true. Yukiko is really convinced now. I just asked, but Yukiko didn't confirm it. Just like Fei Yingri, she was just suspicious. But now it's not just suspicion, Yukiko is 100% confirmed. I didn't expect it. Yingri, you actually have such an idea. Saying that Shaolin is also interested in Chen, so you two are here. Yukiko laughed suddenly, with a smile of interest on her face. If the two of them were really with that guy Tatsu, I don't know what kind of embarrassing situation it would be. As for her son Kudo Shinichi and Xiao between Ran, Yukiko has long since given up hope, because she knows that it is impossible. Besides, Xiaolin is such a gentle and virtuous woman, Yukiko still thinks that she is more compatible with Chen, compared with Kudo Shinichi. Yukiko is now obviously it is a man who is more towards her. After all, although Kudo Shinichi is her son, it is only in name, but there is no blood relationship. What are you laughing at, Yukiko? I warn you not to talk nonsense, otherwise don't blame me for breaking up with you. Fei Yingli warned Yuchizi in embarrassment. Help me, how can you help me? Fei Yingli asked erratically, but after asking, Fei Yingli immediately turned her head away. I don't need any help from you, after Huichin comes back, you can't talk nonsense. Otherwise, I really break up with you. Fei Yingli threatened Yukiko again, but looking at Yukiko's smiling face, it was obvious that Fei Yingli's warning didn't seem to have a deterrent effect on Yukiko's wife. Eri, are you hurting? The first time I saw Eri, you're shy. It feels so fun. Fun 3 inches. Fei Yingli looked at Yukiko angrily. If it wasn't for the good relationship with Yukiko, Fei Yingli would really be angry with Yukiko. I know Yingli, you are inferior. After all, you are not as beautiful as me. Doesn't look younger than me. I don't know how to dress up. So I'm afraid that Chen doesn't look down on you, right? Hearing Yukiko tell her that she is nothing but nothing and nothing can compare to her, Fei Yingli suddenly became unhappy. Beautiful, am I not as beautiful as you? Young, I think does it make me look old? I can't dress up. Well, this concubine Yingli doesn't seem to be able to refute. Compared with Yukiko, she is really not very good at dressing up, but concubine Yingli is very unconvinced in her heart. Although the two are good friends, but they also want to compete with each other. One of them was Princess Dedan and the other was Queen Dedan, and they have been fighting since childhood. Do you think I am inferior to you? Fei Yingli looked at Yukiko and asked. Obviously, Fei Yingli also, being aroused by Yukiko's competitive spirit. Yeah, I think so. Yukiko nodded, she was deliberately provoking Fei Yingli. I don't know if Fei Yingli saw it, but this doesn't seem to be important, no matter whether Fei Yingli can see it or not. With her understanding of Fei Yingli, she will be fooled. If you are not convinced, Fei Yingli, then prove it to me. Yukiko said to Fei Yingli, why should I prove it to you? Concubine Yingli naturally saw that Yukiko wanted to provoke her. After a long time, Byakugan ignored Yukiko. Oh, it seems that you admitted it. Admit that I am inferior to me, and this time I have won. Yukiko deliberately said this to Fei Yingli. Then she looked at Fei Yingli, and then it was to see if she would take the bait. After all, she said so, she should be hooked. Chapter 1065. In fact, my eyesight is very bad. Concubine Eri Moonlight looked at Yukiko. Knowing that Yukiko is deliberately arousing herself, after all, the performance is too obvious. If it was in the past, in the face of Yukiko's deliberate aggressiveness, Fei Yingli would definitely not admit defeat, even if it could be seen that he would not admit defeat. But now concubine Yingli will not be like this. She glanced at Yukiko, and then ignored Yukiko at all. Seeing that Fei Yingli didn't hit her aggressively, Yukiko looked at her suspiciously, and then said to Fei Yingli, they changed, Yingli. Yeah, who can not change a little? Nodding, then said, besides, this is not the time it used to be. The former concubine Yingli is also competitive. In fact, now concubine Yingli is also like this. Otherwise, there will be no undefeated queen in the legal world. However, the current concubine Yingli was too lazy to compete with Yukiko and felt a little naive. I feel like you're very naive, so don't follow me. You can play with Yukiko. Ru Yingli waved to Yukiko, as if she wanted to drive her away. Hey, we are good friends, you actually dislike me, I want to break up with you. Yukiko said to Fei Yingli with an angry look. Okay, I don't mind. Concubine Yingli said directly to Yukiko that she didn't mind. Suddenly Yukiko became annoyed. Eri, you will lose my good friend like this, and I still want to help you. What are you helping me? Fei Yingli glanced at Yukiko, and then asked, of course, it's to help you fulfill what you want. Hee, wouldn't you tell me you didn't know? Yukiko now took a she looked at Fei Yingli with a smile on her face, but the smile she was showing now made Fei Yingli feel different. Now you are just like someone with bad intentions, and I don't believe you have such good intentions. Fei Yingli glanced at Yuchizi, and then said, wow, you can suspect me of something else. But you can never doubt me on this point. I am really kind. Would you be kind enough to pull me into the water? Fei Yingli pouted. Well, since you have to be unwilling, then forget it. I hope you will not regret it in the future. Yukiko didn't say anything at all. Seeing Yukiko suddenly stopped talking, Fei Yingli really felt some regrets in her heart at this time. Well, this point must not be shown, nor can it be seen by Yukiko. What were you talking about just now, so hot? Chen and the others asked, looking at Fei Yingli and Yukiko after they walked back. Yukiko looked at Fei Yingli and smirked, then said, Chen. We were chatting just now. Yuchizi hasn't finished speaking yet. She was covered by Fei Yingli. Fei Yingli's face was slightly equals Yuhi, and she said, there is nothing to talk about, and it's still some serious and cold topics. Chen, you should stop inquiring. Shaolin looked at her mother. In fact, now Shaolin also wants to ask, but it depends on her mother's appearance. Probably won't say it. By the way, you guys are back from buying clothes. Yuchizi and Guang looked at Xiaoai. At this time, Xiaoai has changed into new clothes. It looks very beautiful, but Xiaoai doesn't seem to like it very much. Xiaoai, after changing your clothes, you feel so beautiful now. Yukiko said to Xiaoai. Really? Xiaoai looked at herself, although she praised her beauty. However, Xiaoai felt a little uncomfortable. Can we leave now? Chen asked them forcefully. At this time, Chen really wanted to leave and bought clothes for Xiaoai. Chen felt that he was very tired, but they had been shopping for 2 hours. Actually, Chen was not physically tired. But tired. No, I haven't bought anything yet. Yukiko shook her head. Then what else do you want to buy? Chen asked Yukiko helplessly. This is a clothing store. What else can I buy besides clothes? You come and give me a reference. Yuchizi pulled Chen. That Yuchizi, wait a second. In fact, my eyesight is very bad, so don't let me come to you for reference. Chen called Yuchizi, and then said to Yuchizi. It's okay, I don't despise your poor eyesight. Yuchizi shook her head towards Chen. But I hate my poor eyesight. Chen said helplessly, you don't want me to choose some weird outfits for you. So don't look for me. You still take Yingri to choose clothes. Let's go. Asking for flowers. Chen glanced at Fei Yingri next to him. Then he said to Yukiko. Hearing this, Yuchizi glanced at Fei Yingri, then curled her lips and said, forget it. I think Yingri's vision is even worse. What do you mean by Yukiko? Fei Yingli was immediately dissatisfied. I think her vision is poor. Could it be that her vision is really bad when it comes to clothing taste? It's nothing. Anyway, Chen, follow me. If you want to run, you won't be able to run away. Yuchizi grabbed Chen's hand. Don't let him go. Taking a look at Yuchizi, Chen also knew that he seemed to be doomed. Forget it. Let's work hard with Yukiko. Looking at your expression, it seems very bitter. Yukiko was dissatisfied. Is it wrong to go shopping with her? Do you feel wronged? Yukiko asked Chen. No, I just want to call Belmont and the others. Chen felt that he couldn't suffer by himself, and he also wanted them to follow him. But they don't seem to suffer, except for Xiaoai, they all enjoy hanging out here very much. Let's go together. Chen turned to look at Belmont, Fei Yingli, Shaolin and the others. They didn't refuse either. Following up, we wandered around this clothing store together, watching their chattering appearance. Chen's expression couldn't help revealing, wipe helpless s, it's really a torment. Chen couldn't help whispering, just in time to be caught when I heard it. Xiaoai glanced at Chen, then didn't say anything. I don't know when they will go shopping. Chen couldn't help saying, it is estimated that we will have to wait until evening. Xiaoai, who was standing beside Chen, said. Chen felt that what Xiaoai said was really possible, and it was really possible that he would go shopping at night. So just thinking about it is annoying. At this time, Yuchizi and the others called Chen to pass by. Are they trying to force his opinion again? Chen is like a salted fish. He walked over there and lowered his head, as if he was a real Weiyu who had lost his dreams. Is it so reluctant? He said in a low voice when he saw the expression on Chen's face. Glancing at He, you really don't know my torment. Chapter 1066. It was getting dark, so we came out. Chen couldn't help but say after walking out of the clothing store. He really spent a whole day shopping, so he came out at noon to have a meal and bought it. There are a lot of things, and the key is to buy a lot of clothes for Chen. Even if Chen said no, but still bought them for him, Chen couldn't refuse their kindness. Are you hungry? Do you want to eat? Chen turned around and asked Yuchizi and the others. Of course I'm hungry. And it's not just that I'm hungry. I feel very tired. Yukiko shook her arms and said. I'm tired now. When I was shopping just now, I didn't see you listless. Chen couldn't help but Yi Sao said. I was full of energy before, but now I am lethargic after I come out. This makes Chen, 480 inches really can't help but leave the slot. You also said that we are not like you. You looked listless before. You just came out and you were rejuvenated. Isn't it so boring to go shopping with us? Yukiko said to Chen. Chen wanted to say yes directly. But then I thought about it. I think it's better not to say it, otherwise, I'm afraid Kiko will be angry. In fact, Chen is not particularly repulsive about shopping, but if he has been shopping in the clothing store, then Chen will have no interest at all. What do you want to eat? I will treat you. Chen simply changed the topic. After all, what he said, he must have failed to speak to them. Don't quarrel with women, because it is impossible to be an opponent at all, and Chen knows this truth. Since it's Chen who is here to treat you, then of course you'll be slaughtered. He looked at Chen and said. Whatever you want, if you can ruin me, that's your ability. Chen said to He. That's what you said. Then don't blame me for ordering more expensive dishes. He clenched his fist and said to Chen. Chen shrugged. He can still order more expensive things, and the money in his hand is too much to be used at all. The most important thing is that Chen can have as much money as he wants. Therefore, he is destined to be unable to eat Chen and go bankrupt in his entire life. Then Chen and the others came to a restaurant. Although they told Yi that they would eat expensive food just now, they would go bankrupt by eating Chen, but at this time, he suddenly felt embarrassed. The food in this restaurant is pretty good. The food in the restaurant that Chen chose is very good and tastes good. Although the price is generally a bit higher, Chen doesn't care about these things at all. Chen only cares about how it tastes. It doesn't matter how much the price is at hand, anyway, the money can't be used up at all. Said, I.C., Xiaolan. Go to my place today. Fei Yingli said to Xiaolan. It's been a long time since I met Xiaolan, and Yingri, the drink partner, is going to accompany Xiaolan more equals accompany Xiaolan, and if Xiaolan follows her back, she will not be alone. But Dad is still at home. Xiaolan said worriedly. Don't worry about him, he is two-man. Can't you take care of yourself? That's it, Xiaolan will follow me back. Fei Yingli directly helped Xiaolan decide. Come with you too. Fei Yingli said to He, and Fei Yingli also liked the girl He very much. No, I'm going to stay at Chen's house for one night today. He thinks it's better not to disturb Xiaolan and her mother. So he refused. Hey, I didn't say that you were allowed to come to my house. Chen said to He. HMPH, that's the decision. Don't you dare to have an opinion. He and Yi Zhongqiba danced their claws and asked Chen. Okay, I certainly don't dare to have any comments. But I don't have enough rooms at home, so I will entrust you and me with a room tonight. Chen smiled wickedly, and then said. What did you say? He looked at Yuhi's staring eyes. Then he suddenly thought of something, and then he pouted and said, your house is so big, how can there be no room? You don't welcome me, right? Congratulations, you guessed right. You are indeed not welcome. What? Chen smiled and said to He Wenyan snorted heavily towards Chen. I don't care, I'm going to your house today anyway. I don't think you dare to drive me out. Tsunere raised his head and said, Eri, can I go to your house? Yukiko suddenly asked concubine Eri. Fei frowned upon hearing this, and then asked Yuchizi, what are you going to do at my house? Of course I have something to talk to you about, aren't you welcome? Yuchizi looked at Fei and blinked, blinking his eyes. He said, yes, I am indeed not welcome. Fei said ruthlessly, I'm not welcome to go. Anyway, I have to go to your place today. Yukiko said seriously, Yukiko, why are you going to Yingri's place? Didn't you say you wouldn't go in the future? Chen asked Yukiko, of course I have something to do. As for what it is, I won't tell you. You don't ask me this question. Anyway, I will never tell you. Yuchizi blocked Chen directly to prevent Chen from asking her some questions. Forget it, I don't have the heart to know. Chen simply waved his hand, and then said that Yukiko didn't want to tell him now, and he wasn't interested in knowing yet. In the end, Yukiko didn't know how to convince Fei, and then left with Fei. Let's go, it's time for us to go back. Chen turned to Belmont and the others and said, by the way, you come to my house to stay overnight, but you need money. Chen said to I'll take a bite of you as a reward, do you think it's okay? He said with a sneer. That's better. I'm afraid of rabies. Chen glanced at then shook his head. What did you say? I have to make you look good. Wanted to grab Chen as he spoke, but with ability, if Chen didn't count on meeting she wouldn't even want to meet him in 0.2 of her life. Chen. After was depressed for a while, he then said to Chen, can't you hold back a little when facing girls? Oh, I'm sorry. This really doesn't work. Chen smiled at shaking his head. He said, phew, if there is a chance. I'll let you know how good I am. Exhaled, and if there is a chance, he must take revenge on Chen. Okay, hurry up and leave, it's getting dark now. After Chen finished speaking, he got into the car. The following Belmont and the others also got into the car, but Xiao sat directly on the co-pilot at the fastest speed. Xiao, who was sitting on the co-pilot, glanced at Belmont, who also knew what Xiao meant. But ignore her. Chapter 1067. The jealous Hattori Heiji, what's going on ahead? Chen looked at the road ahead being blocked. He couldn't help frowning, and then stopped not far away. It's the police, did something happen? And Yi glanced at him, and asked Yi but asked him in surprise. He didn't know either, and he didn't know what the situation was. If he couldn't pass, he would have to take a detour, which is really troublesome. If you take a detour, it will be too late to go home. Because if you don't go this way, it takes a long circle to get home. Come on, let's go down and have a look. He curiously opened the car door and prepared to go over to take a look. Looking at the curious Chen shook his head. Why is he so curious? But most people encounter this kind of thing. We'll be a little curious. Kazuo, why are you here? Kazuya just got off the bus when he heard Hattori Heiji's voice. That's right, Hattori Heiji is here. Immediately after that, Tatsu, Belmont and Xiao also got off the bus. 28. When I saw Tatsuya, when I got out of the car, Hattori Heiji's eyes instantly became Yuhi. The murderous eyes are now staring at you, Tatsu. Bermode glanced at Chen. Then he said, seeing the murderous moonlight that Ermod pointed to. It was Hattori Heiji's gaze. Now Hattori Heiji can't wait to kill Chen. Kazuha, why are you in Hyuga? Chen's car. Hattori Heiji questioned Hii. The Mewtwo police officer who came over was a little surprised at this time, but then he became embarrassed. Although he didn't know the specific situation, the Mewtwo police officer suspected that it was a triangle. Love. But Hyuga-chan isn't Officer Sato's boyfriend, ma. Forget it. Officer Mumu doesn't ask nonsense anymore. This is someone's private matter, so don't let it go casually. There are too many words. It may be hated by others. Officer Kimu, what's the situation? Chen ignored Heiji Hattori and asked Police Officer Kimu. I'm not the ex-hand who was in charge of the serial murder case recently. There is another murder case here, Brother Hattori. It's L who came to help. And the tomb officer looked at Hattori Heiji. He ran over to help, and he came to help and brought Conan along with him. Seeing Hattori Heiji's father's sake, the police officer couldn't refuse. In addition, police officer Tsukimu also knew that Hattori Heiji had some abilities, so he wanted Hattori Heiji to help. After all, this case must be solved quickly. The whole rice flour town is already in a panic. If it is not solved quickly, I have to be punished. So I have no choice. I can only pin my hope on Hattori Heiji. I hope he can help. Kawaba, you haven't answered my question yet. Why are you so late at night? In the same car as him. Hattori Heiji continued to ask Hiei. His expression was very ugly, thinking that it was so late. Hiei was still with Hyuga-chen, and they were still in the same car. Looking at this purpose, he even wanted to go home. Thinking of this, the jealousy in Hattori Heiji's heart drowned him. Looking at the calm Hyuga-chen, Hattori Heiji's heart was full of jealousy. The jealousy made him completely different, and even the jealous were a little crazy. Gradually held it, and after Conan noticed something was wrong with Hattori Heiji, he immediately ran over and grabbed Hattori Heiji's hand. There are policemen standing here. If Hattori Heiji shot at Hyuga-chen, he might be detained. Conan doesn't want to watch Hattori Heiji commit a crime. What does my business have to do with you? What qualifications do you have to ask me? Heiji looked at Hattori Heiji lightly and said. Heiji Hattori lit it on fire in an instant. Heiji Hattori was instantly angry. What did you say? Heiji Hattori looked at Heiji angrily. He is clearly caring. Can't he even see his concern? Actually, he really can't see it. After all, Hattori Heiji's performance is like a mad dog going mad. Do you still want to hit me? Toyama and Yi glanced at Hattori Heiji, and then said indifferently that she is not afraid of Hattori Heiji. If she really does it, she will also teach Hattori Heiji a lesson. In the case of not using weapons, Hattori Heiji is really not. Even if the fighting power of Yi's opponents and Yi can't be compared with Shaolin, but they are much stronger than Hattori Heiji. Well, can you stop arguing? Officer Chiku interjected. Brother Hattori, didn't you say you already have clues? Heiji Hattori only thought of the case after hearing the words, so let's break the case first. Officer Chimu, I want to ask us a question. Can I go over this road? Chen asked the police officer Keys Tomb. I am sorry, Brother Chen, but I can't pass for the time being. Chinmu police officer said apologetically to Chen. Okay. It seems that I can only take a detour, which is really troublesome, if I want to catch the murderer. Directly unload 8 pieces, Chen said a little depressed. This is not a joke. If he really encounters a murderer, Chen will really cut him off. Officer Kimu, let's go first. Chen said that he got in the car directly. And he also walked towards the car. Wait a minute, Hattori Heiji shouted loudly. You can leave, but Kazuya must not follow. Hattori Heiji rushed over and said. Chen frowned. He said lightly, what does this have to do with UZ03? What are you? Hattori Heiji only knew how to stare at Chen angrily, but he didn't know what to do. Of course he didn't want to see Hiei leave with Hyuga-chen, but he couldn't stop it. Get out of the way, don't get in my way. Chen waved his hand impatiently. Kazuo, what are you doing with him? Aren't you afraid of being hurt? Hattori Heiji shouted at Kazuya. This has nothing to do with you, you don't care so much. Hiei also said impatiently. Now Kazuya is really getting tired of Hattori Heiji. And there is nothing to do with him anymore. Officer, this kind of person should be arrested, right? Belmod glanced at Hattori Heiji, and then said lightly to Officer Muki. At this time, Conan couldn't help but look at Belmod after hearing the words. After seeing Belmod, Conan's pupils shrank suddenly, on Belmod's body. Conan really felt the breath of the black organization. Brother Hattori, let's investigate the case first. Don't make me embarrassed. The tomb police officer pulled at Hattori Heiji, and then said to Hattori Heiji. But Hattori Heiji didn't move. The case was really important to him. But he also can't watch Hiei follow Hyuga-chen, or who knows what will happen. Chapter 1068. I'm not in the mood right now, Hato Heiji. I don't have time to waste here with you. Don't let me do anything to you. Chen said coldly to Hattori Heiji. Heiji must not be with you. Hattori Heiji looked angrily. Chen said, Hatten. Conan pulled towards Hattori Heiji. He felt that Hyuga Chen seemed to be arrogant. Then Hattori Heiji should not suffer. Hattori Heiji didn't pay attention to Conan at all. He didn't believe that Hyuga Chen was still here when the police officer Mumu was here. If he dares to do something to him, even Hattori Heiji wants Hyuga Chen to do it to him. At that time, he can be arrested by the Toon police officer. In this case, Kazuya doesn't have to leave with Hyuga Chen. It's true it's worth taking a beating. Anyway, he must not let Hai leave with Hyuga-chan, otherwise he won't be at ease. Who knows, Hyuga-chan is a bastard. Will he do anything to Hai? Wanwan, if he has been doing something, he is afraid that it will be too late to regret it. Officer Kimu, can I trouble you to pull him away? Dude, this is harassment. I have the right to take you away. And the Toon police officer said to Hattori Heiji in embarrassment, and said that although Hattori Heiji's father is Hattori Heizo, this is not the reason for him to make trouble. Wait a minute, Kazuya, do you really want to follow him? Hattori Heiji looked at Heiji. Yi, there is anger in the moonlight. It has nothing to do with you. Get out of the way, and Yi said coldly to Hattori Heiji. In the end, Heiji Hattori was pulled away, and Chen drove the car directly away. When he was leaving, Chen looked at Heiji Hattori, giving Hattori Heiji a mocking look. After seeing Tatsu's mocking expression, Hattori Heiji was a little furious. Damn Hyuga Tatsu. If possible, Hattori Heiji would like to rush to beat him now. Don't be mad. Conan pulled Hattori Heiji. He whispered to Hattori Heiji. You are not me, how can you understand my current mood? Hattori Heiji shook off Conan's hand and said. Indeed, if Xiaoran was the one who was taken away, Conan would probably go crazy too. Don't you live with Xiaoran? Why did you follow Hyuga Chen? Heiji Hattori's eyes turned. He asked Conan. Looking at the expression of Heiji Hattori, Conan shook his head. How could he know this? Bad, is Shaolin also with that guy Hyuga Chen? Although Shaolin, I'm not here, but who knows if I'll be with that guy Hyuga Chen today. Thinking of Shaolin and that guy Hyuga Chen staying for nothing, Conan's heart is very uncomfortable. Then Conan immediately took out his phone. I started to call Shaolin. I was going to ask what happened when Shaolin arrived. Have you been with Hyuga Chen today? And Hattori Heiji also came over, and he also wanted to understand this Hattori Heiji, why he was with Yi will be with Hyuga Chen. Soon the phone will be connected. Hey, Conan, why did you call me? Is there something wrong? Shaolin asked Conan involuntarily. To be honest, Shaolin was really surprised because Conan had never contacted Shaolin during this period of time. That's right, Sister Shaolin. What did you do today? Conan asked Shaolin. Shaolin became puzzled when she heard the words, and Conan suddenly asked her what to do. Conan, what are you doing all of a sudden? Shaolin asked Conan. Oh, that's the new brother asked me to. He wants to know what you've been up to today. Conan can only take out his own bag. Conan, it turned out to be a new one, so let him ask himself. Xiaolan said lightly. Hearing Xiaolan's light words, Conan's heart suddenly felt a little uneasy, because there was not much emotion in Xiaolan's words, as if she didn't care about him anymore. Sister Xiaolan, are you with Hyuga Chen today? Conan simply came out. How do you know? After Conan heard the words, he turned petrified in an instant. It turns out that Shaolin is really with Hyuga Chen. Conan didn't know what to say in an instant. Conan, talk to Yi for a moment. Just when Conan's expression was stiff, Hattori Heiji immediately shook Conan's arm and said to Conan. Conan woke up with a dazed look in his eyes. However, he still asked, Sister Shaolin, why you and Chen and Yi are following Hyuga now? Chen Conan, you can't be so rude to call elder sister Hai and elder brother Chen. Xiaolan said with a bit of arrogance. When Conan heard the words, he curled his lips and called him brother Hyuga Chen. But now Conan doesn't dare to refute it. One Sister Xiaolan, you haven't answered my question yet. Conan felt anxious when he saw Hattori Heiji next to him. He immediately asked Sister Shaolin. Why are you asking this question? Shaolin felt that something was wrong with Conan. Why did she ask so many questions? That's it, Hattori. Heiji wanted to ask, but he saw it just now. Conan said after glancing at Hattori Heiji. Hattori Heiji glared at Conan after hearing the words, but he didn't say anything, but waited for Shaolin's answer. He was asking. He is going to stay at Chen's house for a day today. Ran replied directly. What? Hattori Heiji exploded all of a sudden. Not only was he sitting in the same car with Hyuga Tatsu, but he had to live at Hyuga Tatsu's house for a day. Heiji Hattori couldn't stand it anymore. Heiji Hattori couldn't take it anymore when he learned that he was sitting with Yi and Shangshan in the car, let alone going home with Hyuga-chan. Hatto brother, are we here now? I'm coming to investigate the case. And the tomb police officer asked Hattori Heiji. I'm not in the mood right now. Heiji Hattori said to the tomb police officer. Yes, the current Hattori Heiji is really not in the mood. Now the case is in front of you, but Hattori Heiji also feels bad. Now Hattori Heiji just wants to stop and Yi live in Hyuga-chan. At home, Officer Kiku was very embarrassed to hear the words, and then said to Hattori Heiji, in that case. Then don't disturb Hattori brother. Actually now, Officer Megumi is very angry in his heart. In the past, it was Hattori Heiji who begged him, and he asked Hattori Heiji to come and investigate the case together. As a result, Hattori Heiji suddenly said to him that he was not in the mood, and immediately the police officer also doesn't want to talk about Heiji Hattori. For Officer Yimu, the case is the most important thing, and he doesn't want to continue talking about Heiji Hattori. If this case is not solved, he will be out of luck. Chapter 1069. Anxious Hattori Heiji, Conan, ask Shaolin if he knows Kazuya's phone number. Hattori Heiji immediately said to Conan, now Shaolin has hung up the phone. Conan said to Hattori Heiji holding the phone. Also, you don't know Kazuya's phone number. Conan looked at Hattori Heiji's Kazuki with surprise and speechlessness. The phone number of his childhood sweetheart, he didn't even know it. Even Conan wanted to despise Hattori Heiji. But forget it. It seems that Hattori Heiji is very angry now. If Hattori Heiji is annoyed, the angry Hattori Heiji is likely to fight with him. She doesn't have the old phone number anymore, so I don't know Hiei's phone number now. Hattori Heiji glanced at Conan. He seemed to know what Conan was thinking, so he said to Conan. However, when Conan heard the words, he glanced at Hattori Heiji sympathetically, and changed the phone so that you don't know, which means that he doesn't want to contact you. That is, there is no drama. Conan said that he could see it, but Heiji Hattori couldn't. This emotional intelligence is really low. Conan 753 secretly despises Hattori Heiji's low emotional intelligence in his heart. As everyone knows, he and Hattori Heiji are the same. They are all guys with low emotional intelligence, and they are not qualified to despise Hattori Heiji at all. I just finished the phone call. I'm ashamed to call again. Conan said to Hattori Heiji. Then let me fight. Hattori Heiji said to Conan. Anyway, Hattori Heiji must know Kazuya's phone number, and he must call Kazuya back, otherwise he won't be at ease. Hitbu, actually you don't have to worry so much at all. Trust Kazuha, she will never be deceived by that guy Hyuga-chan. Conan comforted Hattori Heiji. Hattori Heiji glanced at Conan and said. If the person who was taken away by Hyuga-chan was Shaolin, would you be worried? Conan was silent when he heard the words. If the person who was taken away was Shaolin, then he would definitely be worried in his heart. After thinking about it this way, Conan can also understand Hattori Heiji now. Okay, then you talk to Shaolin. After Conan made the call, he handed the phone over to Hattori Heiji. After a while, Shaolin was connected. Conan, is there anything else? Shaolin, I'm not Conan, I'm Hattori Heiji. Hattori Heiji immediately said to Shaolin. Shaolin frowned slightly when he heard that, but it was Hattori Heiji. What's the matter with him? Shaolin, can you tell me Kazuya's phone number? Do. Hattori Heiji said himself the purpose is to want Hiei's phone number. But Shaolin is silent. In Shaolin is silent, but Hattori Heiji is in a hurry, and he doesn't speak now. What's the matter? I told ye and I'm sorry for not letting me tell you if you asked for her phone number. Xiaoran hung up the phone after he finished speaking, and Hattori Heiji could only be in a hurry. Hattori Heiji was angry. Punch the cement Jinchuriki column next to him, and then the blood flowed out of his fist. After all, his fists are no match for the hard cement Jinchuriki column. The bones are not broken already. Who else knows Kazuya's phone number? Hattori Heiji asked Conan. Conan was speechless for a moment when he heard the words. How could I know this? After all, Conan didn't pay much attention to Hiei. By the way, little Izumi Yuhiko and Suzuki Sonoko know Kazuya's phone number. Hattori Heiji thought of the little Izumi Yuhiko and Suzuki Sonoko who had a good relationship with Hai, and immediately wanted to make a call. But little Izumi Yuhiko can't carry it. After all, little Izumi Yuhiko lives with Hyuga Chen, and Hattori Heiji doesn't have little Izumi Yuhiko's phone. Do you have Sonoko Suzuki's phone number? Hattori Heiji asked Conan again and asked Sonoko Suzuki's phone number. After all, the relationship between Hattori, Heiji and Suzuki Sonoko is also very bad. How could I know? Conan spread his hands and said. Aren't you and Suzuki Sonoko classmates? Hattori Heiji couldn't help saying Conan. Originally, when Conan was still Kudo Shinichi, he and Suzuki Sonoko were classmates, and Suzuki Sonoko and Shaolin had a good relationship. I don't have a good relationship with Suzuki Sonoko. Conan said to Hattori Heiji. The woman Suzuki Sonoko didn't like to see him, and he also didn't like Suzuki Sonoko's sanba. What now? Hattori Heiji asked Conan. Unless we go directly to Hyuga Chen's house, but now we have to solve the case. Conan looked behind him. Behind the police officer Kimu is investigating the murderer, but there are no clues to investigate. We've been looking for 9 hands for several days, and now we have clues. Do you still want to watch the murderer continue to kill people? Hattori Heiji clenched his fist after hearing the words, and finally chose to help Officer Kimu to solve the case. Let's go. Let's solve this case first, and we must not let the murderer continue to kill. Conan pulled Hattori Heiji and walked over, and Officer Mew saw Hattori Heiji approaching. He frowned slightly. Then he said to Hattori Heiji, Isn't Mr. Hattori in a bad mood? I told him just now that he was not in the mood, and now he is still coming over. What are you doing? Of course, the Toon police officer felt unhappy in his heart. So now he doesn't have a good temper with Hattori Heiji. Hattori Heiji's expression was a little embarrassing. Just now, Hattori Heiji was really in a bad mood, so he spoke in a tone of voice. It's also very bad. I'm sorry, Officer Yimu, I was in a bad mood just now. Heiji Hattori sincerely apologized to Police Officer Mizuki. After seeing Heiji Hattori's apology, Officer Heiji didn't say anything else. Although he was angry just now, Heiji Hattori still needs to solve the case at this time. After all, in terms of finding clues in solving cases, Heiji Hattori he is indeed stronger than them, although the police officer Meguro doesn't want to admit it. But he doesn't want to admit it. Then Hattori Heiji and Conan continued to stay here to solve the case, but it was Conan who solved the case. Now Hattori Heiji is really not in the mood to think about clues. Because he couldn't calm down at all, so naturally there was no way to find clues to solve the case. But even so, Hattori Heiji will continue to stay here. After all, he needs to cover for Conan. I don't want to expose Conan's identity, even if his parents don't want to tell, let alone the police. And Conan doesn't believe in the ability of Officer Mumu and the others to arrest those black organizations, so it's better not to expose them. Are there any clues? And the police officer asked Hattori Heiji. However, the police officer Meguro didn't have much hope, because the Toon police officer had already discovered it. Hattori Heiji was not in the mood to investigate the case at all. Chapter 1070. Shaolin's Wild Thoughts. There are some clues, but it is still a little troublesome to find the murderer. Hattori Heiji looked at the police officer Mumu and said, Some clues have been found before, but they are just clues, and the murderer has not yet been found. And Officer Mew sighed. In fact, they also mastered some clues, but they lacked key clues and could not find the real murderer. The deceased who have been killed several times have no contact at all. The murderer is probably a lunatic who wants to kill, so it is so hard to find. However, although he is a lunatic, he should be a lunatic with an IQ. He did not leave any clues at all. That's trouble for Hattori, brother. Let's continue to look for clues. Officer Mew has nothing to do, and now, he can't just rely on Hattori Heiji, and he has to think of other ways to solve the case. In such a big case, Officer Kaimu felt that a high school detective like Hattori Heiji couldn't handle it at all. On the other hand, Chen, who changed the road, did not encounter anything, but because he took a long detour, it was very late when he returned home. You came back so late, we thought you weren't coming back. Mingmei said after opening the door to Chen and the others. I should have come back long ago. But I encountered some troubles on the road. Chen shook his head and said. Then Chen sat down, picked up the water glass and took a sip of water. This is my water glass. Little Izumi Yuhiko glanced at Chen and said. Really? But what does it matter? I won't mind. Yuhiko, do you still mind? Chen looked at the little Izumi Yuhiko. Of course, little Izumi Yuhiko doesn't mind. After all, they are already in that kind of relationship, so of course they won't mind this. By the way, why did he come with you? Could it be that you have already? Little Izumi Yuhiko glanced back and forth between Chen and Hii in shock. Chen is thick-skinned and doesn't care about this, but Hii can't care less. Yuhi got up all of a sudden with a sullen face. We're not in that kind of relationship. Hii quickly defended. When the defender was defending, he still glanced at Chen, with a shy Yuhi look on his face. Oh, I didn't say what kind of relationship it was. Why are you nervously explaining what to do with Yi? Yuhi smiled darkly, and then said. Yuhizi, are you making fun of me on purpose? Hii stepped on Yuhizi angrily. I was really angry inside. Okay, don't get angry. I'm just joking with you. Little Izumi Yuhiko immediately said to Hii. It's really just a joke, with Xiao-ai following along, nothing can happen to them. Xiaolan went to her mother's place. That's why I came to live there, don't get me wrong. Hii explained it to Yuhizi. Why do I feel like I'm missing someone? Kuroba Chenying frowned slightly, and then couldn't help but say, Yukiko, why didn't you come back with him? Mawako asked Chenji. Yuchizi followed concubine Yingri. I got up and went back, and I don't know what to do at concubine Yingri's house. Chen replied to Mawako. L, Yukiko, who was at the house of concubine Yingri, suddenly snorted. Yukiko. Sister, do you have a cold? Shaolin asked Yukiko with concern. Yuchizi couldn't help but glanced at Shaolin. Just now, Shaolin probably wanted to call her auntie. Never mind. I don't care so much with Shaolin anymore, and Shaolin is still looking at her so concerned. It's okay, I don't have a cold, someone must have missed me. Yukiko smiled and said, who is that person who missed you? Fei Yingli came over with a glass of water and placed it next to Xiaolan. Don't you know? By the way, Eri, where is my water? Yukiko asked Fei Eri. When Fei Yingli came over just now, she was carrying 2 glasses of water, but she herself, a glass, and a glass for Shaolin, did not have Kiko's share at all. You want to drink water too, so go pour it yourself. Fei Yingli glanced at Yukiko, and then said to Yukiko. Hey, did you make a mistake? I'm here as a guest. How can I let the guest come and pour the water by myself? Yukiko said to Fei Yingri very dissatisfied. Isn't it there now? Fei Yingli smiled faintly, then he said to Yukiko. Sister Yuchizi, you drink my cup, I'll pour the water. Shaolin put the cup of water in front of her in front of Yuchizi, and went to pour the water. Look, Shaolin is still sensible. She is much better than a mother like you. Yukiko glanced at Fei Yingli, then he spoke. After a while at night, Eri, I want to be with you. Yukiko said and walked towards concubine Eri's room. Concubine Yingli also knew that Yuchizi must have something to do, so she did not refuse Yuchizi, but Shaolin glanced at them strangely. There was some doubt in her heart. Mom and Aunt Yukiko are not Lily. Shaolin whispered to herself. Very quiet. Only Xiaolan could hear it. If concubine Yingri and Yukiko know what Shaolin is thinking, I don't know what the expression will be. Shaolin returned to the room where she lived, not when she returned to the room. Shaolin still pricked up her ears and leaned against the wall, listening to the sound of the next room. Shaolin wants to know what her mother and Aunt Yukiko are talking about, whether it is really the same as what she thinks, if it is the same as what she thinks. Shaolin really didn't know what to do, but to Shaolin's disappointment, the sound insulation was very good, and she couldn't hear the voice at all. It was estimated that if she ran to the door to listen, she might be able to hear something. Oh, I can't hear anything. Shaolin sighed, then left As for going outside and ran to the door to listen. This little land still can't do it. It would be really embarrassing if they were found out. As long as I think about that embarrassing scene, I feel embarrassed in my heart. I hope Mom and Aunt Yukiko are not what I think. Shaolin said silently. Then Shaolin went to rest, and Fei Yingli's room was not like Shaolin's wild thoughts. Yukiko, what are you doing? You can talk about it now. Fei Yingli looked at Yukiko and said to Yukiko. Yuchizi smiled and said, you are so smart, Yingri. Why don't you guess what happened? Fei Yingli couldn't help but glance at Yuchizi and asked her to guess. Guess what happened to Yuchizi, if you can really guess. Does she also ask Yukiko? Chapter 10-11. Concubine Yingli chose Yukiko. Seeing that Fei Yingli ignored her, Yukiko pouted. You really don't want to know what's wrong with me? Yuchizi asked Fei Yingri unwillingly. Hearing this, Fu Yingli couldn't help flipping through a Byakugan. Everyone has curiosity, and Fei Yingli, a barrister, is of course also curious. It's just that Fei Yingri is not interested in playing some kind of guessing game with Yoshiko. So don't accompany. Oh, it's so boring. Yukiko watched concubine Eri turn Byakugan. Then shook his head. Actually, what I want to say has something to do with Chen, don't you want to know? Yukiller couldn't help but poked Fei Yingli and asked Fei Yingli. The corner of Fei Yingli's mouth twitched slightly, and she knew that it would be like this. Even if she didn't ask, Yuki, too missed, couldn't help but tell her. Then talk about it, Fei Yingli said lightly, as if she didn't care at all. Millie, Yingli, although you don't seem to care, you actually care a lot. Yuchizi Lily smiled. Then he spoke. Just like Fei Yingri knew Yukiko very well, Yukiko also knew Fei Yingri very well, and she really couldn't be clearer about Fei Yingri. No, Fei Yingli lightly denied. However, Yukiko can still see it. Forget it, since you have no interest, I won't tell you. Yukiko shook her head regretfully. Fei Yingri's expression stiffened slightly, then turned her head to look at Yukiko. Only now did I realize that Yukiko really didn't say anything. This made Fei Yingli a little uncomfortable. I want to ask Yukiko aloud, but I don't want to be embarrassed. As for Yukiko's playful expression, she didn't know how long Fei Yingli could hold on. Okay, you can talk about it after all. Fei Yingli insisted for a while. Still compromising to have a murderer. Ah, no, now you still want Chen to be your daughter-in-law. Yukiko looked at concubine Yingri in amazement. Li should know, but I didn't expect Fei Yingli to have this idea now. I think Chen is a person worthy of trust, is there any problem? No, although he seems to be a bad person in normal times. But he is really a person worthy of trust for a lifetime. Eri, do you have any advice? Quote. Yukiko gave Fei Yingri a bad laugh and then asked Fei Yingri. Dolan Yukiko, don't be joking. Fei Yingli's face turned Yuhi's face, and then she said quickly. Yurin is now at night, but the lights in the room are very bright, so Fei Ying's haircut Yuhi's face can be seen. Zarin thinks I am in joke. Then your Yuhi is an official, and the bird has Shizi grinning. Then asked Fei Yingli, do I have a face Yuhi? Fei Yingli immediately touched her face when she heard the words, and found that her face was really hot. Maybe it's because it's too hot in the house. Fei Yingli found a random reason, but after Fei Yingri finished speaking, Yukiko looked at Fei Yingri strangely, and then said to Fei Yingri, it's almost winter now. Not to mention the hot weather at that time, it is already good if it is not cold. Fei Yingli looked at Yukiko annoyed. She can see that Yukiko is going to break her stage now. What exactly are you trying to say? Let's be straight. Don't blame me for saying anything. Fei Yingli said to Yukiko bluntly. Alright then, I'm going to tell you Wang Ran like this. I want to ask you something. That is, Yingri, do you have any interest in Chen? Yuko asked the concubine Yingri expectantly, her eyes full of anticipation. Concubine Ying looked at Yukiko incomprehensibly. What was she doing with this question? And Yukiko seemed to be looking forward to her answer. Don't you want to say it? Why are you asking this question? Fu Yingli was not positive the answer to Yukiko's question. Instead, she asked Yukiko the reason for her question. Don't worry about what I do with this question. Answer me quickly. Then I refuse to answer. Fei Yingli said lightly. Okay. It's getting late. I'll rest first, and I'll get up early tomorrow. Fei Yingli didn't want to chat with Yukiko at all. Actually, I can help you. Don't you want me to help you? Of course Yukiko was not willing to end the conversation like this. What are you helping me? But at that time, Fei Yingri didn't say anything. And he thought Yukiko was joking. After all, Fei Yingli knew Yukiko was very fond of joking. You said what I would do for you. Do you still need me to express it? Well, Fei Yingri, I understand what Yukiko means. You are serious 9 inches? Fei Yingri asked Yukiko, and at the same time it was a little strange. Now Yukiko and Chen are definitely in that kind of relationship. It seems that you are really interesting. Yukiko is now certain. It turns out that concubine Yingri is really interested in Chen. Seeing Fei Yingri's expression a little angry, the smile on Yukiko's face converged, and she couldn't smile anymore, if she would break up with him. I really want to help you. Now it's up to Eri to make your own choice. Yukiko said to Eri. After listening to Yukiko's words, concubine Yingri became a little tangled, and finally asked Yukiko, why do you want to help me? Do I need a reason to help you? We are good sisters, said. Fei Yingri glanced at Yukiko. Anyway, Yingri, you can choose. After passing this village, there will be no 3.6 shop. I won't help you in the future. Yukiko said to Fei Yingri seriously. Okay. Fei Yingli hesitated for a long time, then nodded towards Yukiko. We may be good sisters in the future. Yukiko giggled. Then he said to Fei Yingli. Concubine Yingri glanced at Yukiko, then said to Yukiko, I suspect that you are pulling me into the water. Where are you pulling you into the water? I'm a good person. I'm helping you. Don't you want me to help? If you really don't want to, then I won't help you. Didn't you agree just now? Do you want to go back now? Fei Yingli withdrew Yukiko. Hey, don't worry, since I promised to help you. Of course I won't go back, just wait. Yukiko said to concubine Yingri. Chapter 1072. Shaolin was even more skeptical. How do you want to help me? Fei Yingli hesitated for a long time, and asked Yukiko with a yuhi face. That's right. Fei Yingli has really made up her mind. Because she has been in love with Chen for a long time, and she can continue to suppress it in between, but she thinks that Yukiko has become Chen's woman. In addition to a touch of jealousy in her heart, she also had some expectations. It can be said that Yukiko helped Fei Yingli to pass that level, otherwise, Fei Yingli would probably be pressed in her heart for the rest of her life. Eri, are you hurting? I'm still. This is the first time I see you so shy. Yuchizi jokingly said to concubine Yingli. Yuchizi. Fei Yingli's voice was too loud, which made Yukiko know that she was a little angry in her heart. Okay, I won't make fun of you, but Yingri, are you so impatient? Fei Yingli looked at Yukiko blankly. Didn't you just? Are you kidding me? 292. Why did I forget it in a blink of an eye? But Fei Yingri also knows that Yukiko's character is like this, and she likes to tease especially, and Fei Yingli can't do anything about her. Fei Yingri turned her head away. Did it really rise? Yukiko asked Fei Yingri, but Fei Yingli ignored Yukiko. She already knew how to deal with Yukiko. Just pretend to be angry. If there is shizi, there will be no problem, and when the time comes, I will definitely admit my mistake and apologize. Okay, I was wrong. I really don't meet you this time. I'm really wrong. Don't get angry, okay? Yuchizi whispered to Fei Yingli. Then what's your plan? Fei Yingli turned around and asked Yuchizi, "Of course there is a plan, but I can't tell you." This can't be said. If it leaks out, don't worry about it if it doesn't work." Yukiko patted Fei Yingri on the shoulder, reassuring Fei Yingri, but Fei Yingri couldn't feel relieved. Who knows what Yukiko will come up with? How could she be relieved? Unless she really knows the plan. But what disappointed Fei Yingri was that Yukiko didn't tell her at all, even if Fei Yingri knew very well. Fei Yingri also understood. After all, she knew Yukiko too well. "Since you don't want to say anything, then forget it." Yukiko just went to plan. Fei Yingri went to sleep by herself, and after Fei Yingri fell asleep, Yukiko was preparing the plan with a distressed face. In fact, there are 0 reasons for not telling Fei Yingri. That is, the plan has not been thought out. Well, so there is no way to tell it to Fei Yingri. After the evening has passed. The next morning, Yukiko didn't sleep well either, with 2 light dark circles under her eyes. After Jin left the room, Shaolin glanced at Yukiko very strangely. Originally, she had some doubts in her heart, but now Shaolin's doubts are deeper in her heart. Could it be that Aunt Yukiko really has that kind of relationship with her mother? Seeing that Yukiko didn't sleep well, Shaolin thought about it again. "Shaolan, what are you thinking?" Fei Yingli noticed the strangeness of her daughter and couldn't help asking Shaolan. "Ah, it's nothing, I didn't think about anything," Shaolan immediately said to Fei Yingli with a yuhi expression on her face. But now Shaolan's appearance is a little obvious, which makes Fei Yingli even more suspicious. "I asked Shaolin again, but if Shaolin was killed, it was impossible to express the doubts in her heart. If I suspect that Mom, you and Aunt Yukiko are lilies, I guess they will be carried to death. Well, it is impossible to kill them, but it is certain to be embarrassed. It would also be embarrassing to be Shaolin herself. So it's good to know it in your heart, but don't take it apart." "What's wrong with you, Eri?" Yukiko asked the thoughtful concubine Eri. "I feel a little weird." "What's weird?" Yuchizi asked suspiciously. Shaolan was very weird just now. I don't know if there is something wrong." Fei Yingli shook her head slightly and said. As Shaolin's mother, Fei Yingli could of course see that Shaolin was careful, but she just didn't know what was on her mind. "Would you please ask me what's wrong with Shaolin?" Fei Yingli said to Yukiko. "Shaolan didn't even tell you, let alone me, so don't ask." Yukiko shook her head. She wouldn't help Fei Yingli. Soon Shaolin made breakfast and came back. Concerned about her concern, Fei Yingli still asked Shaolin, "Shaolin, do you have any concerns?" Shaolin was nervous for a moment, then shook her head quickly and said, "No. Mom, I have nothing to worry about." "Really?" Fei Yingli looked at Shaolin suspiciously, and then said to her, "If there is really anything, please do tell me." Shaolan nodded, but what would she say about such a thing? She must take into account the face of her mother and Aunt Yukiko, but this is in her heart, and Shaolan's heart is also very tangled. "I want to find someone to tell it." Suddenly, Chen's face flashed across Shaolin's mind, her eyes lit up slightly, and Shaolin was ready to talk to Chen. After all, when encountering such a thing, Shaolin didn't know what to do or how to deal with it. "Mom, I will not be with you for a while if I have something to do," Shaolan said to Fei Yingli. "Is there something? What is it?" Fei Yingli frowned slightly. Just now she suspected that Shaolin had something on her mind. Now that Shaolin said there was something, Fei Yingli was of course very concerned. "I have something to look for Chen." Hearing that Shaolin was looking for Chen, Fei Yingli nodded and relaxed. If that's the case, then maybe there's nothing wrong. After breakfast, the bar called Chen's phone. "Shaolin, so call early, what's the matter?" Chen had just woken up. Of course, there is a reason for waking up so late. "Chen, do you have time now? I want to tell you something." "It's inconvenient to be on the phone." "It's inconvenient, what's the matter? Do you want to confess to me?" Chen asked teasingly. Chen's words made Shaolin make a big yuhi face, and her heart hurt a little. No, there are other things. After you come out, I will talk to you after I meet," Shaolin said to Chen. "At home?" Chen nodded, then asked Shaolin. "Well, I'm still here with my mother, are you free, Chen? Since it's Shaolin, of course I'm free, just wait, I'll go pick you up. Chen smiled slightly, then said, ready to go over pick up Shaolin. By the way, let's find out what happened to Shaolin. Chapter 1073. Wanting to talk about it, Chen left the house, and then came all the way to Fei Yingli's house. After knocking on the door, Xiaolan opened the door, and behind Xiaolan stood Yukiko and concubine Yingri. After Fei Yingli saw Chen, her face turned slightly yuhi, which made Chen feel that something was wrong. Why did Fei Yingli look at his face yuhi? The situation is not right. What's the matter with you, Yingri? Chen asked concubine Yingri. No, it's nothing. Fei Yingli immediately shook her head. Shang Chen said that he was fine. Seeing Fei Yingli shaking her head, Chen didn't have much time, and Guang looked at Shaolin. Shaolin asked Chen to come over, so Chen didn't know what was going on with Shaolin. Seeing Chen looking at herself with questioning eyes, Shaolin's face was also slightly yuhi, which made Chen completely puzzled. Their mother and daughter seemed to have problems today. Chen, can we go out and chat? Shaolin asked Chen. Of course, I have no opinion. Chen nodded slightly towards Shaolin. Yo, what the hell is going on? Can't we just let us know? Yukiko couldn't help joking. Shaolin glanced at Yuchizi. I really can't let you know this. Shaolin is shy, don't make fun of her. Fei Yingli said after glaring at Yuchizi. Okay, then I won't make fun of Shaolin, you guys have a good time outside. Yukiko said after waving her hand. Land-faced Yuhi pulled Chen to flee, feeling that Aunt Yukiko had misunderstood something, but just misunderstood. Shaolin didn't mean to explain in the past. As for why she didn't explain it, Shaolin herself didn't know. Probably since Tu did not want to explain it at all. By the way, Shaolin, what are you looking for? Chen looked at Shaolin. Although Shaolin's face was very yuhi, Chen still felt that Shaolin had something on her mind. There is something. Shaolin nodded lightly, but Shaolin was really embarrassed to say those things. What's the matter? Approximately 2 inches. Chen was very curious. What did Shaolin have to do with her? Shaolin glanced at Chen, and then she didn't know what to say. She was very entangled in her heart. No, can you tell me? Chen asked Shaolan. Actually, I don't know how to say it, sorry. Shaolin said tangled. I'm sorry. I am sorry for something. Don't you really want to confess to me? Chen smiled and looked at Shaolin. Shaolin's face became even more embarrassing when she heard the words, and she shook it gently. After shaking his head, Shang Chen said, No, it seems that I was looking forward to it in vain, which is really disappointing. Chen's disappointed expression made Shaolin want to say something to Chen. Let's go, there's a coffee shop over there, let's go in and have a seat. After coming downstairs, Chen said to Shaolin, there are quite a few coffee shops where Fei Yingli lives, and Chen has seen several. This is a community where the elites of the society live. When they are free, they go back to the coffee shop for a drink. Coffee, so the coffee shop business here is very good. There are more coffee shops. I remember you don't like coffee, Chen. Shaolin asked Chen suspiciously. Do you not like it? But that doesn't mean you can't drink it. If you have a cup suitable for drinking, it actually feels pretty good. Chen said to Shaolin with a smile. Oh, Shaolin followed Chen into a well-decorated coffee shop, and then ordered a cup of coffee each, and asked for some desserts along the way. Actually, there is no need to order so many things. Shaolin looked at the dessert on the table and said to Chen. Actually, I haven't had breakfast yet, so of course I want more. Chen said to Shaolin while eating dessert. It's already past 9 o'clock. Haven't had breakfast yet. Shaolin was stunned for a moment. Because I woke up a little late, I haven't had breakfast yet. Chen said with a light smile. Can you talk to me now? Shaolin struggled for a while, but she thought of calling Chen out. She just wanted to get close to Chen. So Shaolin put her own guess the original he. Chen said a cough. Chen almost spit out the coffee in his mouth. What did Shaolin say just now? Did he hear it wrong? Shaolin, you actually suspect that Eri and Yukiko are Lily. Chen looked at Yukiko without knowing what to say. It's a little suspicious, and it's really suspicious. I think you've got something wrong. Chen waved to Shaolin. This is completely impossible. Actually, I think I made a mistake. But I think it should be true. Shaolan said with a distressed face. Although Shaolan has no golden head for her mother and father to get back together, she doesn't want her mother to become a lily. Then what do you want to do with me? Chen asked Shaolin. I just want to talk to Shaolin and I don't know what to do if it's the truth. Don't think so much, there is absolutely nothing between Yingri and Yukiko. I promise you, and your brains are too strange. After Chen took a bite of the cake, he withdrew the strange expression on his face. Color. Then said, but Mom and Aunt Yukiko are really close. Isn't this normal? Eri and Yukiko are good friends, isn't it normal to be close? Well, I hope I think too much. Shaolan temporarily persuaded herself, but she still had some doubts about the relationship between her mother and Yukiko. If you don't ask your mother in person, maybe you'll be able to find out. Forget it. I'm embarrassed to ask my mother. When Shaolin faced Chen, she was a little embarrassed to say. Not to mention it's time to face his mother. How about I help you find out how Zhao Chenjiao is like? Chen asked Shaolin forcefully. This seems to work. Then I will trouble you, Chen. Shaolin grabbed Chen's hand gratefully and said to Chen. No need to thank you. In fact, this has something to do with me. Chen said, after all, Yukiko is his own woman. If there is really anything with Fei Yingli, even if Fei Yingli is a woman. But he's also a cuckold. Then are we going back? Shaolin asked Chen. What are you doing when you go back so early? Are you too tired of being with me, Shaolin? Chen asked Shaolin. No, it's not. I really like to be with you, Chen, but I want to know the truth quickly. I hope it's not what I imagined. Shaolan quickly shook her head and said to Chen, don't be so anxious. This is not too late. Let's play outside first. We'll go back later. Chen finished eating the cake. Pull Shaolin out of the coffee shop. Chapter 1074. I do hope that you are being held by Chen on purpose. Shaolin's little face is like Yuhi, but she doesn't mean to break free. Instead, she enjoys the feeling of being held by Chen very much. Chen, where are we going? Shaolin raised her head and asked Chen. Chen is also thinking about where to go, the amusement park. No, there are a lot of people there. Chen did not want to go. It's better to go to the game city to play. Let's play. Chen suggested to Shaolin. Game city, okay. Shaolan nodded when she heard the words. Before, Yuanzi took her to go there, but she came out after playing for a long time. Soon came to the game city. This game city is in a shopping mall. Chen came to Shaolin's side after purchasing the game city. What do you want to play, Shaolin? The fighting game over there seems to be very interesting. So I want to go and try it. Shaolin pointed to the arcade fighting game not far away. I didn't expect you to like this, Shaolin. Ah, Chen smiled slightly, but thought that Shaolin likes karate, so it's not surprising. Let's go, let's play together. Chen walked over. The arcade 110 fighting game here is inferior to King of Fighters and Street Fighter _ not much, but the characters are different and the skills are the same. Chen and Shaolin equals play this game together. It's just chickens pecking at each other, because neither Chen nor Shaolin have ever played this game. So when fighting, there is no combo at all, but it feels very fun to play. After playing a fighting game for a while, Shaolin took Chen to the shooting game, which is Chen's strength. Hundreds of hits. Easily refresh the highest record. I feel like I'm still not suitable for this kind of game, but Chen, you are amazing. Shaolin looked at Chen with some admiration. Come on, let's come and grab the doll. Chen called Shaolin and walked to the doll machine. Shaolin suddenly became interested, and immediately walked towards the doll machine. The doll inside was very cute, and Shaolin also wanted to get the doll inside. The doll inside is so cute. But I can't catch it. Shaolin shook her head. In the past, Shaolin and Yuanzi used to catch dolls together. But they never caught them, and they failed every time. Which one do you want, Shaolin? I'll catch it for you. Chen said to Shaolin. Can the real CIFB be caught? This one is really hard to catch. Xiaolan said to Chen. It's hard to catch for others, but easy for me. Chen Wei said with a smile. Wanting to catch these dolls is simply too easy for Chen. I want that Yuhi-colored bunny, can you catch it for me? Xiaolan pointed to a bunny that was pinned down. This is more difficult to grasp, but Xiaolan really wants it. No problem. Chen manipulated the mechanical claw, and after catching the little rabbit, directly grabbed the puppet little rabbit. Don't fall. Xiaolan prayed in her heart not to fall. In the past, everything she caught would fall. Hope it doesn't fall off this time. It's absolutely possible to catch it. There's no problem, Xiaolan, you can just trust me. Chen said to Xiaolan. Well, I believe that Chen, you can catch the bunny. Xiaolan held Chen's hand, very trusting. Then I saw the baby bunny slowly move to the exit position and fell down. Xiaolan immediately took out the bunny, and it really succeeded. It's great Chen. Xiaolan couldn't help but excitedly kiss Chen. But after kissing Chen, Xiaolan was stunned and her face suddenly turned into Yuhi. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, sorry. Xiaolan said quickly. It's alright, I hope you did it on purpose. Chen's moonlight looked at Xiaolan, until Xiaolan's face turned into Yuhi. Anything else you want, I'll catch it for you. Chen smiled at Xiaolan and said, it's good to catch one, can you still catch it? Xiaolan said involuntarily. When she and Sonoko started arresting before, they didn't arrest any of them. As a result, Yuanzi is now too tired of seeing the doll machine. Don't you believe me? With my ability, even catching all of them is a breeze. Then I want this pink Yuhi-colored pig. Xiaolan pointed out. He pointed to a very cute little pig inside. Okay, I'll catch this right away. After putting in the game currency, he immediately started to catch the pig, and quickly caught this pink Yuhi-colored puppet pig. Here, Chen picked it up and handed it to Xiaolan. I don't want it. This little pig is handed over to you. Xiaolan handed the pink Yuhi-colored pig to Chen. I think this looks a lot like you, so I gave it to you. Xiaolan covered her mouth and smiled lightly, but then she ran away quickly. Okay, Xiaolan, you actually said that I was a pig. How would you discipline you after seeing that I caught you? Chen smiled lightly, and then chased after Xiaolan. Seeing Chen chasing after her, Xiaolan hurriedly ran faster, but because she didn't see the person in front, she accidentally bumped into the person in front. Get off. I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Xiaolan immediately stopped and apologized to the other party. The other party turned her head, wrapped very tightly, but her eyes were very fierce. Full of murderous intent, Xiaolan was taken aback. Xiaolan, are you alright? Chen came to Xiaolan and asked Xiaolan. I am fine. Xiaolan shook her head towards Chen. Then Xiaolan looked at the person she accidentally bumped into, but she didn't see that person, and it seemed that she had left. Chen, the look in the eyes of the person I bumped into was so terrifying, as if he was going to kill someone. Xiaolan said with a lingering fear, and Chen nodded. He also saw it just now. There was murder in the man's eyes, and there should be life in his hands. It's okay, anyway, if anyone dares to hurt my Xiaolan, I will let him die without a place to be buried. Chen stroked Xiaolan's hair and said to Xiaolan. After hearing what Chen said, Xiaolan's face was shy, because Chen was talking about my Xiaolan. Xiaolan is hurt. Chen smiled at the shy Xiaolan. That's right, I didn't. Xiaolan shook her head gently, but just now. Xiaolan was really hurt. Let's go, let's continue playing. Chen took Xiaolan's hand and walked towards the other game consoles. After playing in the game city for a long time, I came out of the bush and walked towards the next store because I was hungry. There is a Western restaurant here for something to eat, but Xiaolan didn't like it very much, but took Chen to a ramen restaurant. This family's ramen is very delicious. Yuanzi and I have tasted it when we came here before, and the taste is very good, much better than what I made myself. Xiaolan said to Chen A. Chapter 1075. Strangling in the cradle. Although the ramen in this shop is very good, I think Xiaolan's ramen is better. After walking out of the ramen shop recommended by Xiaolan, Chen said to Xiaolan, Chen, you really is that what you think? Xiaolan was slightly stunned, then looked at Chen and couldn't help asking. Yeah, I really think so. Don't you think I'm lying to you? Chen nodded and said, well, will I make it for you to eat later? Xiaolan's voice was very low, and her face was a little yuhi, obviously some harm. Although the voice was low, ordinary people couldn't hear it at all. When it comes to what Xiaolan is saying, of course Chen can hear it. Even if Xiaolan's voice is small, Chen can hear it clearly. After all, his hearing can be said to be against the sky. Okay, if Xiaolan, if you want to make it for me, of course I can't ask for it. I'm just afraid that Xiaolan doesn't want to make it for me at all. Chen Qiaguang looked at Xiaolan seriously and said approximately 1. Xiaolan's face couldn't help but become more and more yuhi. It seems that Xiaolan's character is also very shy. If you really want to eat, even if I 10 make it for you to eat, Xiaolan whispered, said. Then thank Xiaolan so much. Chen couldn't help kissing Xiaolan's face. Xiaolan, who was kissed by Chen, didn't reject anything. On the contrary, she was very happy in her heart, but she was also a little shy. Baiyi Xiaolan was originally rather shy personality, and now this is outside, so it is normal for Xiaolan to feel hurt. Let's go shopping, Chen said to Xiaolan. Xiaolan was stunned for a moment, and then said to Chen involuntarily. I remember that Chen doesn't like to go shopping. I like it wherever I go with the girl I like. Xiaolan lowered her head instantly. Is Chen confessing to herself? Xiaolan doesn't know either. But Chen didn't give Xiaolan too much thought. Grabbed Xiaolan's little hand, and then pulled Xiaolan into the mall, but when she was pulling Xiaolan away, she suddenly felt a murderous aura coming towards them. Chen frowned slightly, then glanced back, a very tightly wrapped man. It was the person Xiaolan accidentally bumped into before. Because he wanted to accompany Xiaolanchen, he ignored that person for the time being, but if he really wanted to do something, Chen would definitely let him not even leave the body behind. Chen, what's wrong? Xiaolan asked Chen in confusion. It's nothing, let's go in. Chen shook his head slightly, then dragged Xiaolan into the guard mall. He didn't come here to buy things, but to accompany Xiaolan and Xiaolan to develop a relationship. They wandered in the mall until the evening. Then Chen and the others planned to go home. Losa, let's go back. It's getting late. Chen pulled Xiaolan out, but after walking out Chen instantly felt a murderous intent locked on them. It's really endless. Killing intent rose in Chen's heart. What's going on? Xiaolan asked Chen in confusion. I don't know what Chen said. It's nothing, Xiaolan, I think it's good to go shopping again. Chen smiled and pulled Xiaolan towards the open space not far away. Xiaolan gave Chen a puzzled look, but she didn't object. Xiaohan held Chen's hand, and walking like this felt very sweet. When Chen pulled Xiaolan and walked towards that direction, the very strict man who was staring at Chen and Xiaolan's package was also approaching Chen and them. Chen couldn't understand it. It seemed that apart from Xiaolan bumping into the guy, the others didn't offend the guy. Killing me just because of this. This guy is either a lunatic or a lunatic, alright. There is no difference between a lunatic and a lunatic. When he was about to get close to Chen and Xiaolan, the man made a move, with an extra knife in his hand, and then stabbed at Xiaolan. Before he came to Xiaolan, the tightly wrapped guy was directly kicked by Chen. Fly out 10 meters. Land on the ground and slide out a long distance. Pedestrians seen on the road. Directly surprised. This kick flew out more than 10 meters, which was not much worse than being hit by a car. Some people regarded Chen as a Superman. What's wrong? Xiaolan asked Chen in a daze. That person wants to kill you. Xiaolan, you have to be careful. Chen said to Xiaolan. Although Xiaolan's force value is indeed very high, her vigilance is not enough. This is also a normal thing. After all, how can ordinary people maintain vigilance? Begging for flowers. What is that? Xiaolan couldn't help but ask Chen. She didn't offend anyone. Why did someone kill her? Xiaolan was a little scared to Chen leaning on. I suspect that guy is Mahua Dingji, the murderer who committed the murder. Chen said. This is not Chen's speculation, but it is really possible. This style of daring to kill people on the street is almost the same as the murderer reported on the news. And this man had at least a few lives on him. Chen can detect it. Let's go take a look. Chen took Shaolin and walked over there. But Chen also knew that that guy would definitely not survive. After all, Chen was originally running for his life. No matter who this guy is, since he showed murderous intent to Shaolin, of course he wanted to kill him in the cradle. After Chen and Shaolin passed, that person was out of breath, and there were still pieces of internal organs in his mouth. After Shaolin saw it, she couldn't help burying it directly in Chen's arms. Be scared. Chen, is he dead? After a long time, Shaolin asked Chen Chang worriedly, if he really died, would Chen be in trouble? Well, there is no breath anymore. Chen he nodded towards Shaolin and said. Then what should I do? Shaolin was about to cry. It was he who wanted to kill us first, so we can be considered justifiable defense. Chen said to Shaolin, and this guy is not a good person in the first place. If it is really found out that he is the murderer, then Chen will not only be fine, but also give him an award. Although Chen told Shaolin that it was okay, Shaolin was still very worried. Don't worry, don't worry. Chen took out his mobile phone and made a call with Mawako. Let's go over there and sit first. Chen smiled and pulled Shaolin towards the other side. After all, there was a corpse here, but it was very emotional. Seeing Chen's smiling face and not worried at all, Shaolin's heart relaxed a little, thinking of the knife in that person's hand, maybe they really won't have anything to do. Chapter 1076. Police Officer Yimu asked for help before she waited too long, and Mawako brought the police here. In addition to Mawako, the police officer Megumi also came along. What surprised Chen even more was Hattori Heiji and Konan, who were also following along. But think about yesterday. They helped the police officer Mumu to investigate the case. It is estimated that they came with the police officer Yimu. When Hattori Heiji saw Hyuga-chen, he was also surprised, but Konan's face darkened because Konan saw Shaolin in Hyuga-chen's arms. Shaolin was actually in Hyuga-chen's arms. Konan really thought that the scene he saw was fake. Hattori Heiji's eyes searched all around, and he was relieved when he realized that he hadn't seen Kazuha. Chen, what's going on? Mawako ran over. 7-2 = 3, Guan Xiao asked. Shaolin quickly broke free from Chen's arms. After seeing the acquaintance, Shaolin felt hurt in her heart. I was a little embarrassed. It's like this. Someone attacked me and Shaolin, and then of course I have to fight back. So now he's dead. Chen pointed to the corpse not far away. Shaolan was a little worried. The little hand held Chen tightly, hoping to be fine. I'm sorry Chen, if it wasn't because I asked you to come out to accompany me, maybe this would not have happened. Shaolin said to Chen with an apologetic face. What does it have to do with you? Chen touched Shaolin's head and said the other side to Shaolin. Looking at this scene, Konan felt that Kiba's teeth were about to be crushed. At this moment, he could finally feel the mood of Heiji Hattori yesterday. It was really uncomfortable. Sister Shaolin, why are you here? Konan asked Shaolin, wanting to know why Shaolin came out with Hyuga-chen. Konan, why are you here? Shaolin looked at Konan in surprise. Konan was a little sad. He came with him, but he didn't even see him. Could it be that Hyuga-chen is the only bastard in his eyes? Konan really didn't guess wrong, because Shaolan's eyes were all on Chen. So I didn't really notice Konan coming. Sister Shaolin, you haven't told me why you are with this murderer. Konan asked Shaolin. Konan, Chen is not a murderer, we are self-defense. Shaolin looked at Konan angrily. Shaolin is rarely angry, but when she is angry, her aura is quite strong. Completely different from his usual gentle personality. Children, you can't talk nonsense. Also, this place is not for children. Mawako said lightly. Damn, didn't he admit it just now? Don't care if it's self-defense or not, he is the murderer now. Konan roared angrily. Seeing Shaolin completely standing on Chen's side and helping Chen to speak, Konan was also jealous. Shaolan was about to argue with Konan angrily. But the hand was pulled by Chen. Shaolan, don't get acquainted with a child. After all, what he said doesn't count. By the way, Officer Mew Mew, are you bringing a child to solve the case now? Chen's Moonlight looked at Officer Kimu, and Officer Mew. The embarrassment being said is actually not that Officer Meguro wants to take Conan as a child, but that Officer Memiku wants Hattori Heiji to help, and Conan came with Hattori Heiji. Moreover, it was not easy for Officer Mew to drive Conan away, not to mention that when handling the case, Conan did find some clues for them. So the police officer on the screen was more tolerant towards Conan and allowed Conan to follow. "What's going on?" Mawako asked Chen. Chen talked about the specific Kazu Mawako. Mawako nodded. If this is the case, then it would be easy to solve the trick. Mawako walked to the corpse, and saw that the man was still holding in his hand "Put. Investigate first, the identity of this person. There are cameras here, you can check the surveillance, you can know if it is self-defense." Mawako ordered others. The police officer said, "Officer Mawako, can I conduct an investigation?" And the tomb officer asked Mawako. After all, this case is now under the control of Mawako. And now Mawako and Yimu are at the same level, so if Officer Yimu, if you really want to intervene, you need to get Mawako's consent. Otherwise, don't say anything else. At least it will be difficult for Face. Yes. Mawako nodded lightly, and the tomb police officer went to check immediately. In fact, the reason why the police officer Yimu came over was because the serial murderer was probably in this area, and after learning that this person attacked Hyuga Chen and Xiao after ran, I think this person is very likely to be the murderer. Officer Takagi, how is it? It does have some characteristics. The murderer left bloodstains. We can test the blood to determine whether the other party is the murderer we are looking for, Takagi she said to Officer Mumu. Soon the forensic doctor came. After examination, the other party was indeed the murderer of the recent serial murder case. A happy look appeared on Officer Mu's face, and it seemed that the murderer had really been found. The pressure on him could finally be removed. The police officer Mumu has been under a lot of pressure for a long time. After all, the murderer has not been found, and he cannot give the public an explanation. Now that the killer is dead, it's all over. Hattori Heiji's moonlight is a bit complicated, and he has been checking it for several days. In the end, the real murderer was met by Hyuga-chen. And Hyuga-chen also solved the murderer. "Brother Chen, come here, come down, I have something to ask for your help." Officer Kimu suddenly called out to Chen. "I don't know if the police officer Chi-tum has anything to do with me. About this murderer." Then the police officer Chi-mu whispered his purpose. After learning the purpose of the police officer Yimu, Chen directly agreed. "Many thanks to Chen Lao 4.1 brother, we will thank you from the Metropolitan Police Department." The tomb police officer left directly. "Chen, what did Officer Kimu say to you? This time it will be okay, right?" Shaolin asked Chen hurriedly. "It's all right, don't worry." Chen shook his head slightly towards Shaolin. "We can go now. The rest will be left to Officer Mew to take care of it." Chen took Shaolin's hand and said, "Oh, as long as it's fine." Shaolin felt relieved. After saying hello to Mawako, Chen took Shaolin and left. "Officer Chi-mu, just let him go like this. Even if this person is the murderer, he must not be let go easily." Conan said angrily. "This is naturally handled by us. This person is a murderer, and Brother Chen is naturally a hero," said the tomb police officer. Chapter 1077. "Don't go back tonight, Conan, what are you doing?" Hattori Heiji shouted to Conan. However, Conan did not respond to Hattori Heiji, but chased in the direction of A Shangshan and Shaolin. "Officer Chi-tum, I'll go first." Hattori Heiji greeted Officer Chi-mu, then left immediately, chasing after Conan. In addition, Officer Mew didn't say anything, and now he is happy in his heart. "I talked to Hyuga Chen just now. This time it's up to them." That is to say, reporting to others means that they solve the murderer, but the reward or something can be sent to Chen. Of course, Chen definitely doesn't care about the reward. "Conan, what are you doing running so fast?" Hattori Heiji finally caught up with Conan. Although Conan was not slow, Hattori Heiji's speed must be faster than Conan's. Finally caught up with Conan. Then Hattori Heiji grabbed Conan and asked Conan, "Don't hold me, you quickly let me go, Hyuga Chen and the others are leaving." Conan shouted anxiously to Hattori Heiji. No, what's the use of you catching up? Even if it really passes. In the end, you will suffer. That person is still you, so don't be foolish in the past. Hattori Heiji said to Conan, yesterday, you should be able to understand my mood now, right? There is no one else between Hyuga-chen and Shaolin, just the two of them. Conan said angrily to Hattori Heiji. There are only two of them, so what will happen in the end? Conan can't imagine now. Okay. Hattori Heiji let go of Conan and didn't stop Conan. Conan immediately ran towards the parking lot. But when Conan ran to the parking lot, Chen and Shaolin got in the car and started the car. Absolutely can't let you run away. Conan immediately took out a tracker. It was launched towards Chen's car and landed on the car. Then Conan saw the car leave, and luckily the tracker was launched on it. Otherwise, you can't really catch up. Come after him. Conan shouted loudly. Hattori Heiji is here now. Looking at Conan, he couldn't help but say, how do we catch up? People are driving cars. We have 2 legs now. Hattori Heiji spread his hands, wanting to catch up, but how to catch up? They don't have a car or something. You can drive, right? Conan asked Hattori Heiji. Hattori Heiji shook his head lightly when he heard the words. Conan was stunned, and this guy, Heiji Hattori, didn't know how to drive. Human mind, is not that I can't drive. It's that I don't have a driver's license. My driving skills are not very good. Hattori Heiji said to Conan. Conan glanced at Hattori Heiji, then shook his head and said, then let it go. Conan doesn't count on Hattori Heiji anymore. Hey, what do you mean by shaking your head? Do you know how to drive? Hattori Heiji said to Conan in an unhappy manner. Conan said to Hattori Heiji that this is not Conan's bragging, but that Conan really knows how to fly a plane. He learned it from his father, Yasaka Kudo. When he was a child, he learned a lot from Yasaka Kudo. I have to say that to some extent, speaking of, Conan is definitely a genius. Hattori Heiji was a little bit beaten by Conan, but now is not the time to talk about these things. Now we are going to hire a taxi to chase them. Hattori Heiji said. Even if he really knows how to drive, his driving skills are very good, and there is no car for him to drive, so he can only take a taxi to chase Hyuga-chen. Actually, you don't have to worry about it, Shaolin probably won't. What to do with Hyuga-chen? Hattori Heiji comforted Conan. I'm worried about Hyuga-chen, if he really wants to do something. Can Shaolin really resist? Conan said after glancing at Hattori Heiji. I really can't resist. If that's the case, what are you going to do? Now let's catch up. Conan was anxiously waiting for a taxi. Fortunately, there are quite a few taxis here, and Conan called a taxi in a short time. Open the tracking glasses. These glasses have the ability to track, and Hattori looks envious. How about the doctor helping him? It should be more convenient to solve the case. Fortunately, the tracker is still there. I hope it has not been found. Conan said with a sigh of relief after opening the tracking glasses. Master, please hurry up, I'm in a hurry now. Conan said to the driver who was driving. The taxi driver glanced at Conan behind him when he heard the words. He was just a child, so there was nothing urgent. No, the speed limit in this place cannot be too fast. The taxi driver immediately shook his head. Can't I give you more money? Conan bit Kiba and said. The taxi driver looked back at Conan after hearing this, and then shook his head, because he didn't think Conan could take out the money, and even if he really took out the money, he wouldn't do it. After all, there is still a family waiting for him to live. If you don't have to work hard for the money, if something really happens, it will be over. Conan can only work in a hurry. On the other side in Chen's car, Shaolin's cheeks slightly yuhi, and she finally gathered up her courage, looked at Chen and said, Chen, will you not be going back tonight? Chen, who was driving, was stunned for a moment because of Shaolin's words. What is Shaolin talking about? Did he hear it wrong? Or did Shaolin say it wrong? But seeing that Shaolin had bowed her head because of her shyness, Chen knew that she had not heard it wrong. Okay, I have no opinion. Chen said with a slight smile. Of course he has no opinion. He is even eager to be so. Where are we going now? Xiaolin asked Chen. Xiaolin forced a question. Yes, of course. Xiaolan stammered because she was a little nervous, and almost didn't even say a word. Looking at Xiaolan's appearance, Chen couldn't help but chuckle. It seems that it was really a good idea to agree to come out with Xiaolan this time. I can't be right anymore. But you can't let some little tales follow you. If something bad happens, it will be bad. Chen glanced at the back through the rearview mirror, and then with a thought, the tracker on the car fell instantly. In a car next to it. When the tracker just landed on his car, Chen had already discovered it. He knew that Conan was tracking him. Originally, Chen planned to take him to the Kabuto Circle, but now Chen doesn't have that time for the Kabuto Circle. Important things matter now. When you have time to pay attention to Conan, let Conan track other vehicles. I don't know how wonderful his expression will be after he catches up. The First Thousand Fog Chapter 78. The Autistic K, that's not right. Where is this going? Hattori Heiji, who is tracking him, reacted and said to Conan. If he goes any more, he will leave the rice flour stare. Hyuga Chen and Xiaolin can't leave the rice flour town now, right? Damn it. Conan also reacted and slapped the chair in front of him forcefully, startling the driver. The tracker must have been discovered by Hyuga Chen. Conan said angrily. How did he find out? Did he feel that we were tracking him? Hattori Heiji asked Conan involuntarily. After thinking of Hyuga Chen's mysterious methods, it is not surprising that the tracker has been discovered now. Then what are we going to do now? Hattori Heiji asked Conan, whether to continue tracking, or go back. If they continue to track, it is very likely that they are not tracking Hyuga Chen at all. And if they don't continue tracking, it's a little trick played by Hyuga Chen, so what is in front of them is a two-choice question. It can be any money. Conan Yuhi said to the driver with his eyes closed. Possibly frightened by Conan. Maybe it's for money. So the driver accelerated and finally caught up after more than 10 minutes of tracking. It's just that after seeing the tracked vehicle, I immediately understood that it was being deceived, and this was not Hyuga Chen's car. Hyuga Chen's car Conan is known. The country is familiar and clear, but the one in front of me is not at all. Damn it. It's been calculated. Stop. Conan said to the driver, asking the driver to stop quickly. Don't you continue chasing. The driver turned his head and asked Conan. I don't know who they are after. But the driver didn't want to inquire so much, and it wouldn't do him any good to inquire too much. He knows that trouble can't be caused, and he doesn't want to cause any trouble. Stop chasing. Please send us back, Shiju, please. Hattori Heiji glanced at Conan absent-mindedly. Said to the driver, okay. The driver nodded. He didn't say anything else, just turned around and drove the car back. Conan, you can rest assured that nothing will happen, I can assure you. Hattori Heiji said to Conan. And Conan glanced at Hattori Heiji equals he came to me and promised me that you can't take it. Seeing the driver in front, Conan didn't want to say more, lest others hear things that shouldn't be heard and provoke him. The trouble Conan doesn't want to cause any more trouble now. He feels a look on his face now, worry about it first. After going back, Conan took out his mobile phone and thought about calling Xiaolin's house, which is the phone number of Maori Detective Agency. If he didn't go back to Nan, he would be relieved if he didn't return. If so, then Conan doesn't know what to do. But if there is really no return, even if he turned the sky over, he would have to find Xiaolin. Conan called Maori Detective Agency, but no one answered at all. Mori Kogoro was not at home at all. The rare Xiaolin is not at home, so of course Maori Xiaolulong wants to go out for a drink, so as not to be controlled by Xiaolin. No one answered. Conan said with an embarrassed look on his face. No one answered the phone at all. This shows that Xiaolin has not returned yet. Actually, you can call Xiaolin's number now. Hattori Heiji said to Conan to wake up the dreamer, and Conan woke up instantly. Yes, just dial Xiaolin's number directly. How could he forget it before? Conan slapped his brain suddenly and then called Xiaolin immediately. It's just that Xiaolin's phone was already turned off. After hearing that the phone was turned off, Conan was shocked, and the bad premonition in his heart deepened. What happened to Conan? Hattori Heiji quickly asked Kanan when he saw Conan's stunned appearance. I'm fine. Conan shook his head, but looking at his expression, he didn't look like he was okay. Come on, come with me to find Xiaoran. Conan stopped a car and said to Hattori Heiji. Then do you know where to find Xiaoran? I don't know. Of course Conan didn't know where Hugachan took Xiaoran to. Yes, but even if you don't know, look for it. If I really can't find Xiaolan tonight, Conan really won't be relieved. Okay, I'll accompany you to find it. Hattori Heiji followed Conan into the car and got into the car. Then Conan and the others began to look for Xiaolan, but it was impossible to find Xiaolan in this way. The two searched for a whole night, but they couldn't find any trace of Xiaolan. I really looked for it all night, until after dawn. Conan and Hattori Heiji had 2 eye circles, and Conan returned to Dr. Agasa's house in a very disappointed way. Quote. Conan, actually sometimes the knot is not as bad as your root image. Gonki comforted Nanami. Hattori Heiji even did not find Xiaolan. It doesn't mean anything either. However, Conan just walked absent-mindedly, as if he hadn't heard what Hattori Heiji said. At this time, his heart was a little tingling. It seemed like a thorn, deeply piercing his heart. Conan felt that every step of the way was very heavy. After returning, Akasa Hiroju looked at Hattori Heiji and Conan in confusion. What's wrong? Could it be that the murderer didn't? How to catch it? Akasa Hiroju asked them. The murderer was caught. It's just. Hattori Heiji glanced at Conan, and then said nothing. Don't mess this up. Say it, otherwise Conan will probably go mad. So don't talk nonsense. Just what? Hattori Heiji didn't say anything. But did Akasa endure it? He couldn't help asking. Hattori Heiji shook his head at Dr. Akasa, and then pointed to Conan. Seeing Heiji Hattori's posture, Dr. Agasa understood. It turns out that it was because of Conan that I couldn't say it. He looked at Conan worriedly. Dr. Lee also didn't understand what was going on. Ali Botu, I'll go back to the room to rest first. After Conan finished speaking, he walked into the room alone. Heiji, what's going on? Why is Conan so listless? After seeing Conan entering the room, Dr. Ali listened, but didn't hear anything. That's when he asked Hattori Heiji. I can tell you, but Dr. Aga, don't let Conan know what I said to you. Hattori Heiji thought for a while. Said to Agasa Hiroshi. Akasa Hiroshi nodded, and told Hattori Heiji that he was tight-lipped and would never say anything casually. Chapter 1000 Earth 19. In the room of the Hopeful Rice Blossom Hotel, Chen Qiguang looked at Xiaolan, who was still sleeping. Xiaolan slept very sweetly, and Chen was reluctant to wake Xiaolan. And it's better to let Xiaolan rest now. After all, Xiaolan is really tired. So Chen didn't move, just accompanied Xiaolan, but Xiaolan woke up after a while. Rubbing her eyes, Xiaolan looked at Chen. After seeing Chen, Xiaolan couldn't help lowering her head. Is Xiaolan still shy now? Chen smiled and asked Xiaolan. How can you not be shy? Xiaolan spoke in a low voice. If you didn't listen carefully, you wouldn't be able to hear what Xiaolan was saying. I'm hungry, I'll go get some breakfast. Chen said to Xiaolan. Xiaolan nodded lightly, although she wanted to get up and prepare breakfast by herself, but Xiaolan also understood her current situation. She was not allowed at all. And it's not home, and it's not that convenient. Chen called to order some breakfast, and when she came back, Xiaolan was already up. Why did you get up? Don't you take a break? 967 inches. Chen walked over and asked Xiao_Lan. No, it's all right. I feel it's all right. Xiaolan was a little inconvenient when she walked. After all, it was her first time. But it still feels okay, not to the point of weakness. After all, yesterday Chen took care of Xiaolan very much. Chen, are we going back now? Xiaolan raised her head and asked Chen in a tangled manner. If I go back, will it be seen? No, it's not a question of whether it is right or not. But it can definitely be seen. After all, it is too obvious. After all, Xiaolan's temperament has become a little different now. Are you afraid of being seen, Xiaolan? Chen asked Xiaolan. Well, if it's seen by my mother, I feel. Xiaolin didn't continue to talk. But Chen also understands that Xiaolin must feel shy. It's normal as a girl. Oh. Now it should be a woman. Actually, I guess your mother should be suspicious now. Chen said to Xiaolin. Really? Xiaolin looked at Chen nervously. Chen nodded, not joking with Xiaolin, but was really suspicious. After all, they didn't go back yesterday. Eri must be suspicious. Then what should I do? I don't even know how to deal with my mother. Chen, can you help me? Xiaolin looked at Chen with the moonlight she was looking forward to. However, Chen couldn't help this. After all, Xiaolin had to overcome the problem by herself, and Chen couldn't help either. I won't go for the time being. Escape is also a way of course, and it is impossible to escape forever. 2871 Chen touched Xiaolin's head and said to Xiaolin. Then Chen and Xiaolin sat together, watching TV quietly and sweetly. Xiaolin glanced at Chen, and the warmth in Xiaolin's heart completely erased the tension. Isn't this what she was looking forward to now, and now that her hope has come true, she should be happy. At concubine Yingri's house, concubine Yingli was indeed suspicious and worried at this time. Yesterday, it was not that Fei Yingli did not make a call, but she made a call in the past, but no one answered. Of course no one answered. Because Chen had turned off Xiaolin and his mobile phone, and Xiaolin had no opinion on this. After finally making up her mind, Xiaolin didn't want to be disturbed by a suddenly. Eri, you're not serious about your work. Leisurely, he said to Fei Yingli who was working, but now Fei Yingli has no intention of working at all. It's all influenced by you. Fei Yingli rolled her eyes at Yuchizi and said. Hey, Yingri, it's a bit too much for you to say that now. It's obviously because you can't concentrate, see yourself. The king is going to blame me. If you do this, I will break up with you. Yukiko snorted softly, and then said to Fei Yingri. You said it's not once or twice that you broke up with me, and I haven't seen you ever break up with me. Fei Yingli said. Now Yukiko uses this to threaten concubine Eri. It's no longer useful. You should be worried now, Yingri. After all, after Xiaolin and Chen went out together, they haven't come back, and no information has been sent back. Yukiko walked over to Fei Yingri with coffee, put down the coffee, and then smiled. No, what am I worried about? Fei Yingli shook his head expressionlessly. Then he picked up the coffee on the table and sipped it down. Hey, this is my coffee, not for you. Yukiko said dissatisfiedly. In my house, everything is mine, and you still talk about your coffee. Fei Yingli glanced at Yukiko, then calmly said. Forget it. I don't care about you so much. Sure enough, you are still worried about Yingri. Are you worried about Xiaolin's problems, or are you worried about your own problems? Yukiko asked concubine Yingri expectantly. I'm not worried about anything. If there is anything, it's what I want to see. Also, I'm going to work now, if you're okay. Just stay away from me. Do you want to? The so-called work is because you are upset and want to use work to numb yourself, right? Yukiko cut lightly, and Fei Yingri heard Yukiko's words. The pupils shrank slightly, then it returned to normal. It seems that I was say it. Sure enough, my name Detective Yukiko is the strongest detective. Yukiko jumped up and said with her fist clenched. Fei Yingli wanted to drive Yukiko away in embarrassment. It's really ruthless. I'm still your good friend. Is that how you treat me? I'm very sad now, unless you comfort me well. Yukiko wiped her tears and said. Fei Yingli looked at Yukiko blankly. The tears were real, but the sadness was definitely fake. After all, Yukiko used to be a big star and she was definitely the best at acting. Fei Yingli had already been deceived. It has been several times, so now I will definitely not be deceived by Yukiko. From now on, you are not my good friend, can you go now? Fei Yingli asked Yuchizi. I didn't expect Fei Yingli, you really are it's so ruthless, some of the plans that I thought of, I have to tell you, let's help you. Now it seems that it's okay, after all, you don't take me as a friend anymore. After speaking, Yukiko walked towards the door, and when she got to the door, she quietly turned her head and glanced at Fei Yingli. She thought that Fei Yingli would keep her immediately, but she still underestimated Fei Yingli. No lift. Underscore. Chapter 1080. Probably because of the thick skin, aren't you going to leave? Why are you back? Fei Yingri raised her head and stared at Yukiko, who suddenly returned. Asked Yukiko. HMPH, Yingri, do you really want me to go? Are you so ruthless? Yukiko asked in dissatisfaction after snorting lightly. That's right, your presence here will only affect my work. Fei Yingli said without raising her head. With Yukiko here, it will only affect her work, and Fei Yingri feels annoyed. I wish there were Shizi now and hurry up. Does it really affect you? I think it is you who affect yourself. Yuchizi pouted and said. That's right, in Yuchizi's opinion, it was concubine Yingri who was influencing her. But no one else was influencing her. Someone is here. Chen and Shaolin should be back. Yuchizi immediately ran to the door of the room, looked out through the cat's eye, and opened the door immediately. And Fei Yingli also put down her work. Then she came over. Of course, it was Chen and Shaolin who were outside the door. Although Shaolin was very shy, at the beginning, I decided not to come back, but later Shaolin decided to come back. Mom, Yushi, sister, I am back. Shaolin lowered her head and raised her head a little embarrassedly. Fei Yingli and Yuchizi looked at Shaolin strangely. Then they glanced at Chen, of course they both saw it. Okay, Chen, I think you are now. There should be a way to explain it to Yingri one by one. I don't feel it. After Yuchizi got close to Chen, she whispered to Chen. Chen heard the words and looked at Fei Yingli. At the same time, Fei Yingli also looked at Chen, but Fei Yingli's eyes were very bad. Maybe if you really don't give him. If Fei Yingli explained it, Fei Yingli will really make his death feel rhythmic. But what should I say? Chen doesn't know, so let's help Yukiko. After all, if you let Yukiko help, it's easier to fool, but the premise is that Yuchizi speaks for him. Chen whispered to Yuchizi. Ah, let me help. Yukiko glanced at Chen in surprise, then shook her head directly. I don't want it anymore. I don't think it's possible to go into politics. Yuzi glanced at Fei Yingli. Then he shook his head to Chen. Let's talk about it. I don't have any benefit, so why should I help you? I didn't hit you. It's already good. Ying Liren said with a blank face. Isn't she jealous in her heart? No, even Yukiko has something in her heart. The sour, okay what? Yuan shrugged helplessly, and then walked into the room first. Xiaolan sat shyly on the sofa, looked up at Zhao Hao, saw Fei Yingli staring at her, and didn't dare to look up. Could it be that she was seen? Has this been discovered? Just thinking of this, Xiaolan's head burst out involuntarily steam. No, it is too harmful. Xiaolan, why didn't you return to Fei Yingli to gently lift her glasses yesterday, and then pretended not to care and asked? In fact, Fei Yingli was very concerned about it. That, Xiaolan didn't know how to answer this question. She turned her head and looked at Chen. Yingri, Xiaolan was with me yesterday. Oh, then what did you and Xiaolan do yesterday? Ru Yingri's eyes were sharp and her body was full of aura, which made people dare not be small. If I say nothing and do nothing, Yingri, would you believe it? Chen asked Fei Yingli. When Fei Yingli heard the words, she turned to Byakugan. If she didn't do anything, wouldn't she be regarded as a fool? I'm not that easy to fool, and I'm not a fool. Fei Yingli looked at Chen and said to Chen. Actually, Yingri, you've seen it now, haven't you? Chen said with a slight smile. In fact, Chen's heart was not so nervous. As for why he wasn't so nervous, it was probably because of his thick skin. You actually dare to say it? Fei Yingli looked at Chen angrily and said. Seeing Fei Yingli's expression, Chen knew that things weren't that serious. Looking at Xiaolan, Fei Yingli's eyes gradually became complicated. Lai said softly, Mom, I really like Chen, so you don't have to say it, I can tell. Fei Yingli reached out and touched Xiaolan's head. Chen, you have to treat Xiaolan well in the future. If Xiaolan suffers any grievances, I will never forgive you lightly. Fei Yingli said to Chen seriously what Xiaolan said, and I myself would not forgive you. Forgive my own, Chen said to Fei Yingli with a serious expression. If that's the case, I'm relieved. Fei Yingli lowered her head slightly, a look of gloom flashed in her eyes. Yukiko has been paying attention to Fei Yingli. Of course, she saw the change in Fei Yingri's expression, and Yukiko also understood why Fei Yingli showed such an expression. And Light looked at Chen. He glanced at Chen and cast a Byakugan at Chen, but because Chen's eyes were not on Yukiko, he didn't see it. Shaolin breathed a sigh of relief and then felt relieved. In fact, what Shaolin was most afraid of was her mother. It's good that her mother didn't object to work, which also made Shaolin relax and say, "I am hungry." Now waiting for Shaolin to cook. Yukiko said to Shaolin, "It's getting late." Yukiko's stomach is really hungry, but neither she nor Fei Yingri is the kind of cooking expert. Both Fei Yingri and Yukiko are both master chefs of the dark. I was going to order some takeaways, but now Shaolin is back. Kiko has eyes. Now that Shaolin is not convenient, you let Shaolin cook, which is a bit too much. Chen said to Yuchizi that seeing Chen hurt Shaolin so little, Yuchizi felt a little jealous in her heart. She was jealous at first, but now she is even more jealous. If the cooked food makes me dissatisfied, I won't let you go easily. Yuchizi said to Chen in revenge. No, let me do it. Chen don't have to worry about me, I'm actually fine. Shaolin said to Chen. No, Shaolin, you should rest well. It seems that it's time for me to show off. It's not that Chen, who doesn't know how to cook, stands up with confidence in his eyes. After all, cooking is also important to Chen. It's not that difficult again.